d'Ivoire on TSN.
This is Overdrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog on TSN 1050.
Don't be shy, shy, shy. La, 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 la.
All right, here we go. Overdrive off and running. TSN 1050 on the TSN app, your home smart speaker, up on TSN 2. Brian Hayes, the O-Dog, Jeff O'Neill, Jamie Noodles McLennan.
What's going on?
What's going on?
Great to see you two, and I'm very happy to announce that I have a friendship I didn't even know existed that I just found out about 20 minutes ago. I'd like to share it with you quickly.
Yes. What do you got?
Lady at the convenience store, we've never said more than, there's a language barrier, so it's hello, good afternoon, good evening, thank you very much, I'll see you next time. That's it. Very cordial, very nice. Today, dead in the face when I paid, and she goes, you need to get back to the gym. I go, what?
Wow.
Wow.
Uh-oh.
And I go, what are you talking about? She goes, you're growing again. And I said, no. This is the kicker. By the way, this is the first ever interaction other than small talk. I go, do you notice it in my face? She goes, no, your whole body.
Uh-oh.
Wow.
Oh, no. That is a true Samaritan, though. A good Samaritan. That's a good person. That's a saint. And I didn't pick up on that. Like, I've seen you a lot lately. I have not picked up on any slippage.
I know. And then she followed it up with, just telling you as a friend. And I literally looked back like this, and I wanted to say to her, oh, so what, we're friends now?
Yes. Yeah. Well, she's looking out for you. Now, have you been sneaking the sour keys back into the rotation?
Oh, you idiot.
Because that would she can sniff that out.
If I went in there and said, give me the tongs and the Ziploc, she would be like, I'm not doing it.
Good for her.
Well, she's looking out for you. But that was my follow-up question, exactly where you went, Hayes. Is she seeing something that we don't see as far as the purchasing habits?
No, it was just out of the blue. We hardly ever talk. We never talk. It's just a simple hi, thank you for this, and that's it. And then today she came with the heat, and she was like, cut it out, back at the gym. And I was like, okay.
Now, are you going to listen to her, or are you just going to,
Dude, I go to the gym every day.
All right, so then she doesn't know what she's talking about.
I know. It must have been a shirt. Like, I had this weird shirt. I don't know. An angle. Maybe she's just having a day, but I didn't know that we were on the level. But the thing is, do I have a green light to go back at her if I see something a little off?
I don't think so. Although you are the customer. The customer's always right. So, I do think I guess the door's open. The door is open, but I like that she's looking out for you. She's like your sour key sponsor, right? Like if she sees you slipping,
the sour key sponsor.
She's gonna make you go to a meeting or something and get everything back on, the right path. Because
that was the bottom of the barrel walking in there, and her presenting the tongs and the Ziploc right above the
without commentary, without any acknowledgement.
Just like, there you go, fat ass. Just get in there and get after it.
If there was a support group for sour keys and stuff, like, would you have been in the circle and had to stand up and say, I would go in every night at 9 o'clock, and she would hand me the tongs?
Noodles,
and a garbage bag.
I would have to stand up and say,
my name is problem.
Yeah. My name is Jeff, and I bury 19 to 23 extra large sour keys a night. And I do it watching sports.
With a smile on my face.
Yeah.
Couldn't have been happier, and I would not let up. I was like, every night, it was just because that's how many fit in the Ziploc, 19 to 23. And I would mangle them nightly.
I would just love to see your paws right in there with those tongs, like basically a surgeon. You're a sour key surgeon, man. Like fitting the 23rd one in that Ziploc bag.
You know that game Operation where you got to just fit? Like, I was the Gretzky of that game with those tongs. And the thing is, when you get to be you got a science of how many it's like three or four different digs, and a six-pack goes in, a six, and then another.
I know exactly
and then you're
what you mean.
Good to go.
Yeah. And, even though I'm sure they all taste the same, sometimes there's different colors, right?
Yeah, flavors. Yeah.
You get a little bit of a different sugar rush on your tongue, and you're like, heaven.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're not doing that. We're not gonna bring this back into the fold. I like that she's looking after you. That's great. I thought she was going to start talking about that hockey game last night and say, "That's it, Panthers in 5. We're done." Because that was
what would you have said if you walked in there and she said, "Well, the Oilers are screwed now. They're pretty much done." What would your reaction to that be?
Now, I will admit, before I give you my take on that it is jaded, it is subjective, it is through the lens of someone in the city of Toronto that happened to be in the building for Game 5 and Game 7 of the Maple Leafs Panthers series. The fact that it finished 6-1 has a bad vibe for me. That's not just some ordinary coincidental number. If you will recall, and if you will indulge, Game 5, 6-1 ass-kicking, Florida over the Leafs. Game 7, 6-1 ass-kicking, Florida over the Leafs.
They like to beat the pants off you 6-1.
That's what, I'll tell you, Edmonton was just as bad as the Leafs were in Game 5 and Game 7 last night. I thought McDavid and Draisaitl, that's as bad as they can play. I remember going on SportsCenter saying, Matthews and Marner, that's as bad as they can play. I thought the two of them were horrible last night.
Okay,
I didn't even notice them last night.
Does that put you in a position where there's a common denominator here and the Florida Panthers? Does that mean that's what they – no? Okay.
Well, no, you can't sit there as a Leaf fan today and go, you know what, well, that's not what I'm saying. As the Oilers.
No. And that's not what I'm saying. And the Oilers deserve the benefit of the doubt. They'll get back into it. I have no doubt they'll respond. Right. I'm not convinced they'll win Game 4. And I'm no longer convinced they're going to win the series. I'm not convinced of that. I will say I have changed my tune on that, and that's because of Florida.
Yes.
I'm just saying, this Panthers team,
they're good.
They are so good. And Paul Maurice said it before this series. He's been coaching in the league for 30 years, and he said, with all due respect to all of my other teams, this is the best one. This is the best team. And they just find a way to snatch souls, man. They snatched them in Tampa and Toronto and Carolina, and they did it to Edmonton last night. Now they're in the driver's seat.
Yeah, they dominated in every facet. And you know what? That was the one time the Oilers looked not like a veteran team. The Panthers got underneath their skin, and then they unraveled. And that's to me, veteran teams are the ones that agitate, not retaliate. And Florida did that. And it starts a minute in. Honest to God, you're. And
it's Marchand.
I don't know,
of course.
Marchand, but he's on a heater, man.
He's
the guy's
unreal
been
right now.
unbelievable. Him and Bennett are just putting a clinic on. But the one thing I would say is Edmonton to a man stunk. It wasn't like, the goalie was no good and maybe three defensemen.
Right.
There wasn't one guy on that team that had a decent game. Corey Perry scores a goal, great. But outside of that, I thought Florida just dominated right from the start to the finish, and it was idiotic play from, bad penalties in the offensive zone. It was, poor decisions with the puck. Couldn't get a save. Couldn't get
going. It was
going.
all trash.
It was just
And
everything.
by the way, Hayes,
terrible.
You mentioned Paul Maurice. Unbelievable seed planting. And if you can't sniff out that seed planting, to say that of all the teams, that's just letting the Oilers know that we're even better than last year. That's the only reason do you think he wants to pump his team's tires? That was trying to just toss out a little nugget to the Oilers. You thought we were good last year. We're even better this year. And I love this one. He said, I would imagine the next game would be more like game 1 and 2. Oh, really? You don't think that you're going to go in there tomorrow night or Thursday night and beat the hell out of them again and try to clog things up? That was the biggest joke of a comment I've ever heard. Well, I think the next game's going to be more like game. No, it isn't, Paul.
I'll trump it because this, again, I get it. I'm from Toronto, and I'm coming through a lens of the Maple Leafs. Do you remember what he said the day after that Game 5 debacle?
It was close. He said
close. Oh, I thought the Leafs played actually really well. The score, this guy is playing the same game only it's against the Oilers. Now, again, the Oilers deserve the benefit of the doubt because of the two guys in particular. I love McDavid's comments after the game. You know, they didn't sugarcoat anything, and he's like, we haven't had our best, but it's coming. Yeah. And I like that. I like that attitude and that approach. And you've got to have that attitude and that approach. And those two in particular, but also other guys like Perry. You know, Nugent-Hopkins is banged up. Now you wonder what you're going to get. And Hyman's not coming through that door. Like, these are all stories now that you kind of worry about a little bit moving forward. But the Oilers, they have resolve. You know, they show up. They did it last year. They were down 0-3, and they stormed back into Game 7. They're not going to quit. They'll respond. They'll be better. But will it be enough? That's the question.
That's the biggest challenge.
Will it be enough?
I think you come back, and it's easy to go one goalie outplay the other, and that's the truth. I mean, I thought Bobrovsky was really good early on, and then, you know, the Oilers had nothing the rest of the game pretty much. But Bobrovsky was dialed in, and, you know, you need an extra save when your team is out to lunch. You need an extra play, a quality. And you know, McDavid and Draisaitl, they were awful last night. They've only been held pointless in 3 out of 19 games. So you could probably expect Game 4 they'll be better. You know, but Florida's going to be better too. I think the challenge is how do you adjust? Do you have the resolve to come back and make this a 2-2 series? And, you know, Edmonton should be afforded that opportunity.
You think it's must-win, Noodles? Must-win Game 4 for the Oilers?
Damn near. I mean, it's damn near. Yeah,
man.
Like, 3-1. You know, that means you got to win 3 in a row. I don't see. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't see either one of these teams winning 3 in a row or
right.
You know, or 4 in a row type of thing. You're going to have give and take. I think you look at it, and it's almost a tape burner. Like, it was that bad.
Chris Knobloch, who's pretty calm dude, Jamie, I bet you he was just steaming. Because the two things a coach hates, well, there's 2 or 3 of them, undisciplined, disorganized, and just like not being ready to play. And all 3 of those things happen in one period and all throughout the game, and that would drive a coach nuts. But the thing about it is, guys, it's not a game in February. Like, go back to McDavid's comments here last year, like behind the scenes on Amazon. This is the finals, and you just wiped your rear end with one and handed it to them. Like, you can't do it.
Yeah, you gave him a freebie.
You gave him a freebie, man.
Final.
That was Game 4 in Edmonton. What was that? 8-1? 8-2?
Yeah, that was.
Like, it was.
She was on the other foot.
Like, it was just. It was completely out to lunch. Like, and you know what? Like, you can't even blame it on reffing or anything like that.
They're trying to play the game, and that's natural.
Yeah.
And listen, I thought obviously Edmonton unraveled. I don't even have that big of an issue with it because you are pissed. You just threw away a cup final game. You're angry.
Yeah.
You go try to find someone and get after someone, right?
Yeah.
Like, you might as well. You might as well cross-check, break your stick over somebody. We say that all the time. If you're going to take a penalty, you might as well really do it. And Frederick tried to. He did. Yeah. Perry was in the middle of it. Kane was trying. They got Kane out of there. I thought it was a corny 2 and 10, but
2 and 10 for that.
It was ridiculous.
Well, they didn't want because they knew
he was
the next
looking
play.
for one.
The next play, he was going to do something stupid. And
I don't know how you didn't
coming.
sit his ass on the bench. Like, I guess you can because he's such a good player, but after the first 2 penalties, you got to be looking at him like, are you serious, man? I can't trust you put you back on the ice. Yelling at the refs and running around like an idiot. He was an idiot last night.
And to be honest, too, I almost thought the third penalty, the too many men, was his fault, but I think it was McDavid that turned back. Like, because they had 7 guys on the ice.
Right. It was a no-doubter to call it.
No, it
wasn't the refs. I mean, you don't lose 6-1 because of the refs. You don't lose 6-1 because of one individual player. And they've done that. Florida's done that a lot in this playoff run. Like, they are very comfortable. You give them a lead, and they're going to keep pushing, and they're going to push your buttons, and they're waiting for you to unravel. And I would say Thursday absolutely is a must-win for the Oilers. You know, like, you've waited 12 months to get back here, and I'm not sure that would have been anything they thought of before walking in that building, but I did find that interesting that the last time you were there in a big game was Game 7 of the Cup Final, and you had that type of heartbreak, and you battled to get back, and you waited to get back, and you make it back, and that's how you perform. Like your first game back in that building, the last time you were really in it. I know they went through there in January or whatever it was.
Right.
But the last time you were there, or second last time, was the most heartbreaking experience of your life. And you get back in that building and you're just flat. And
they just had nothing.
They had nothing yet. At the same time, again, and the reason I bring the game 5 and 7 with the Leafs up is because the other team has got to get credit.
Yes.
Like
100%.
the other team pushed them out of the game. Like the Leafs didn't go down with a fight. They didn't go out like the Oilers did, but the Oilers got pushed out. Like Florida just basically said, "We're not losing this game. We're winning this game, and we're going to embarrass you. And what are you going to do about it?"
Right.
And to see that in a Cup final is pretty staggering. Like, I know there's swings, and ultimately there's no momentum. And Game 4, the Oilers could step in there, win 5-1, and we got a best 2 out of 3. And then the Oilers are back in the driver's seat with home ice, with how well they've played there. But
it's really tough to.
It's
really tough to believe. If you were going to predict the next game, that it would be anything but Florida's way after that ass kicking. Like, it's hard to envision, like, McDavid and Draisaitl. Like, obviously there's high probability of them dominating and stealing the game themselves, but it just looks like it's tough to get over that one and say, yeah, Edmonton's really going to respond. Like, it's really tough to get to that point. Just as an analyst, viewer, fan, whatever. Like, it's tough to get there.
Might have to be a Skinner game. Like, it might have to.
Is he going to play?
Well, he's going to start Game 4. He has to, I think. But
listen, if they lost because the goalie, then you look at it. But it's, the guy has won, 8 of 10? Like, it just, in the end, they didn't play well. But I think you flush it down the toilet and go, hey, we didn't play well, but you got to have a response next game. You can't just wade your way back in. But you look at it, there was just bad decision after bad decision and, slow play. They were second on every puck, less physical, less, determined on plays. They just looked like they showed up to play and, hey, we lost last game, we're going to win this game. And Florida said, we're going to push. And they did exactly that. And they executed, too. That's the other thing. Like, Florida deserves credit for execution.
Right.
Because you can generate chances, but how you execute them is
They just got to Florida Panther hockey, Jamie, and that's slapping the other team around and scoring and out-goalying, out-forechecking, out-checking.
100%.
Yeah, it was just that was their A game. And when they throw their A game, you saw it with Carolina. When they threw their A game at Carolina, it was men against boys. Against Tampa, men against boys.
Yeah.
But, Hazy, what I'd like you to do is something they're very good at is a blame pie chart on the fly. A 3-piece pie chart blame game for last night for the Edmonton Oilers. Go for it.
Wow. So you want individual players?
I want you to find the 3 different elements of the blame game, put it in one of your specific pie charts, and let it rip in 3 different areas.
Well, I'm going to put the two best players have to be responsible because of how much pressure is on them, how much weight falls on their shoulders. That's just how they are. McDavid and Draisaitl, again, I was not impressed with their performance last night.
No, they played poorly.
They were really bad. And those are the 2 guys that are always going to drive the bus. And, like, Edmonton has depth, but it's not as good as Florida's. So I'll put 40% on those 2. Like, you got to drive the bus. You got to set the tone. They never did that. 40% on, I thought, a lack of discipline, but I'm going to tie that with a bad start. Like, I don't know how you guys look at that, but, like,
they can be tied together.
Yeah, like kind of like mentally they just were weak last night, I guess is the way to put it. Like,
that's a 2-pronged element to the second part of the pie.
Special teams?
And then special teams was a big issue because they like Oilers had a bunch of power plays and they didn't register, they didn't generate anything. Like, at the start of the game, they had multiple power plays and they did not look dangerous at any point.
And they give up the goal. And then Bob made 3 massive saves, and that was on the power play. The right pad save on Henrique, like Bouchard walking downtown. Like, they had some looks, and Bob broke their will right at that point.
Because by the second and third one, there wasn't much to it.
But I thought Edmonton had the push when they got on the power play, and Bob made a couple unbelievable saves, and that you could tell he was dialed, and then that was it. Like, they never had anything, and then Verhaeghe scores that goal late. Nice little shot, short side shelf. Beauty.
Yep.
But, and then they get on the board to make it 2-1, and Reinhart, like, Kleinberg.
Well, he runs into the ref.
But move the puck faster.
I
that's
agree.
the thing. Move the puck faster. Like, don't yell at the ref. How about you advance the puck and get skating and move the puck?
It was just all. We could go through everything, and it's just a mess.
It was slow
completely.
and methodical. Exactly. Like, point being is like that play alone. He actually has an opportunity to just, and then he's waving at it, and then listen, Skinner. It comes through Woolman. But like,
look how long he falls down, though. He's down on the ice forever.
Although it's so aggravating when the ref's in the way.
I know. Get out of the way.
It's so annoying when the ref's in the way. They're humans. They make mistakes. It's not even a mistake.
That's not the ref's fault. That's Klingberg's fault. And you know what? Come back to it. If you're doing the pie chart, a lot of it should be Marchand, Bennett, that third
that's
line.
the opposite.
Like those guys.
The positive side of it.
But that's the reason, that those guys deserve a ton of credit.
Well,
Ekblad goes, you know what, McDavid, you walked me last game. I'm going to run you tonight.
It's a great hit. McDavid didn't see it coming because no one's got the stones to do that to him. Because everyone's terrified they're going to look stupid. That they're going to, like, everyone in the league goes, I got to step back because this guy's he's going to burn me and I'm going to look stupid. So he's never thinking he's going to get hit. And Ekblad, that was a great hit. And you're right. On his goal, he reads the play, sneaks in, he gets something on it. That was kind of a one-timer that he got something on it. Yes, half open cage, if not borderline full. But he's still, for a defenseman, to get that shot off. And then, Sam Bennett, who has been at the forefront of, almost everything. And here it is. Here's Ekblad on the power play. This is a really smart play.
It's an unbelievable play by Reinhart. But McDavid watches stick. He goes on the other side, and that leaves the lane open. And Skinner, if you watch his right toe, he toe picks. His lateral movement was insane yesterday. Insane.
What a stud.
The first goal he was doing the breaststroke.
Right.
I got to tell you guys, and don't get mad at me because I get a little out of hand at times, but there's room in the hut for Ekblad. That's all I'm saying.
In the top 5 defensemen in the league hut?
That is all I'm going to say right now. I don't want to get into it
He's
too
a really
much.
good player.
What a transition that guy's had from like when you draft a defenseman first overall, that's what you want the guy to become in your organization. He went from the young kind of skinny skilled guy where it was wins the Calder and it's let's get some points and put up some numbers, sign the big contract. That guy has turned into a monster back there. He's competitive. He wants to rip your head off. He plays on the power play. He's physical, the competition level, and he's all business all the time. That's what he's morphed into. What a transition. What a player. And welcome to the hut.
If only. Oh, there it is.
There it is. The hut is open.
Hodor. If only a team could if only a team could offer him some money and sign him. I mean, he's available this summer.
That's right.
Legitimately.
That's right.
Jamie, all these guys, all these people are going nuts with all these stupid speculative comments and remarks, and I know they're getting them from somewhere. But don't you think these guys huddle up and say, we have a chance in the next 5 years to pick off 2, possibly 3 more cups? Why wouldn't they? Their goalie's not going anywhere. Their centerman's still there. If they can keep this group together, what the hell's stopping them?
Well, that is the question, because there's the other way to look at it is if they win another one, I already got my 2. I'm getting paid now. That's
very fair. That could happen
fair.
too.
That's Montour did that, right?
Yes, he got 1, and he's like, Seattle's offering me this much money. I'm taking it, man. I'm not taking a discount
I think you look at it. Sorry to interrupt, Brian. I think you look at it too as Florida hedged their bet. Because it's we know we're going to – we didn't know that Ekblad was going to get pinched for 20 games, right?
They might have,
Well, obviously they did. So they go and get Jones. They've got Jones now. And if Ekblad walks, I mean, let's not forget, wasn't it Jones in Game 7 that was arguably the best player on the ice?
He was the best player on the ice.
He's a hell of a player. They've got 2 right-handed shot elite,
and then Forsling and Mikkola on the other side.
I thought Forsling was unbelievable.
Unreal last night. And Mikkola has they hate that Mikkola, and that's a sign of respect.
Good for him.
That everyone wants to kill this guy. It's the best thing you can have as a player when the opponent hates you that much.
Finally, that Mikkola guy's bouncing around. St. Louis, New York Rangers.
Yep.
That Forsling, Carolina puts him on waivers.
But he's a 4 there, right? That's the thing. If you have Ekblad, Jones, and Forsling, that's 1, 2, 3.
Right.
You get the second you ask him to be a 3, or a 2, then you could be in trouble.
It's fair.
But that's what was, the guys who were pending UFAs had the nights, man. Marchand has been unbelievable. Ekblad was great. And Bennett, that shift by Bennett, throwing those 2 hits and then chasing down the ice, beating everyone up the ice to the point where Luosterainen had a breakaway, and he's like, you take it because you're the hot hand.
Yeah, you're going faster, too.
Yeah, yes. Like, look at him. He destroys Podkolzin, and then it was that Klingberg he threw in the corner.
Yeah, Klingberg, yeah.
And then he's low man, and he's like, I got to burn here. And he reads the play beautifully. And these these are silky, silky hands. Like that.
Yeah.
That is not teeing off on a slap shot from the hash marks and hoping it finds a hole.
What a shift.
That's just an unbelievable shift by Sam Bennett. And that's why he gets talked about the way.
And all the questions I'm getting now is, how on earth is his career high 50 points?
During the regular season,
Yeah.
Well,
second power play, and power play's huge in the regular season.
You're right. Power play points we always see them drop off from Morgan Rielly, right? When his power play, when he's off the power play and you're forced to just play 5-on-5, it's a big part of your game. But Bennett too he's a different type of player in the regular season. He doesn't like you can't translate the way he plays in the playoffs. That's tough to do for 82 games,
right?
Because you got to. Like in the regular season, a lot of games we watch them, they're no hitters. So he's not going to go running into the corner to run through somebody. The guy will move the puck and keep skating. Like in the playoffs, every inch of ice is contested. That's why his game suits it. But in regular season on Tuesday in November, it's a no-hitter. You don't finish your check. You circle. You try and stay in the play, stay on top of the puck. Like, to me, he's a guy that his game translates into the playoffs because he plays physical, because he's not shy to get his nose dirty. And I think if he goes somewhere, I think he will get a career high in point. He might get 60 type of thing because he's going to play in different roles and all of that. Like, it's not like he's a 12-goal scorer. He's a 25. I could see him getting 30.
Yeah,
he's
that's
where
still
he's slotted, too.
If
some team thinks he's going into Chicago and being the first-line center with Bedard, be careful. But for the team that hasn't gotten over the hump in the playoffs and they need a guy to fit into that 2C and play the role he's playing now, that's when you overpay.
Yes.
Because there's a bunch of people that are like, you can't pay him that for 50 points. Well, if that's the guy you need, the guy he is right now, to get you in over the hump, then you pay the price for it.
Well,
and I know a few teams.
Can you pay him for 14 goals in goals in the playoffs? That's the difference, right? Like,
exactly.
And you're not. And listen,
it's not going to happen every year.
Exactly. That's where I was going
right now.
He's not going to. He's having a career playoff. He's having and good for him. The timing couldn't be better. And regardless of who he signs with, unless it's the Florida Panthers, it might be an overpay. It's probably going to be just based on the production and where he fits. But ultimately, if you believe that player is a team that is a guy that can complete your team, you pay whatever because you don't have to, answer for it if your team can get to that next level or if he's a big piece of it.
Yeah,
I think he's staying in Florida. I don't know why,
I would guess so too. I mean, after this, and Florida's just listen. They might be uncomfortable with what they're going to have to pay him though. Right? Like, I know last year, Reinhart, he scored 56 goals and game winner in the Game 7 Cup final, and he signed for 8 years at 8.6 or whatever. That may not cut it. Like, Bennett may say, I want 10. Like, I don't care about state tax and all that. But if I'm them, I'd probably just pay it to him. Like, you spread the wealth out. You got guys. But then can you keep Ekblad? Can you keep Marchand if he wants to stay?
You start giving everybody the cash. Guys are going overboard.
Yeah, of course.
I think you're getting. I think 10 is rich. I really do.
Sure, but
I think it's rich for him.
Still, maybe. But Noodles, you're right. It might be. But if he asks for it, then that's what you have to pay.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you can say that's rich. And you're right. It probably is. And that's why Florida, because they're so smart, they may say, okay, we're not going to. Thank you for the 2 cups.
They might not even let him get to that number. They'll say, if you want to play in Florida, this is what we got for you.
Absolutely. But if he calls your bluff and leaves, then he's gone. That's my point.
But the point being is you go, well, we've got a number 2. Like, Florida has bridged, like you say, if Ekblad gets priced out, it's Jones that goes there.
Yes.
If Bennett leaves, it's Lundell that slides in. Like, they are covered in all the scenarios, right? Yes. Is Lundell different than Bennett? 100%. But he's a hell of a player. and then they'll use that money to retool or grab somebody else differently. Like,
right.
What lost in all of this, Florida's management has done a hell of a job here.
Of course they have. Of
like
course.
a hell of a
I mean,
job
they're in the
setting
Cup final
themselves.
for the third straight year, and they're in the driver's seat.
Right.
You know, like when Tampa reached it against Colorado the third year, it was over. You kind of knew it. Right. This is not the case with this team. The Calder was announced today. Lane Hudson has won the Calder Trophy, and he will join us this hour. We're going to catch up with Lane, get his take on what was just an incredible season, and how does he possibly improve on this, and does he have his eyes set on the Olympic team next year? We'll get into that and more with Lane Hudson. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2.
Now, back to Overdrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
All right, right, Lane Hudson will join us here in a moment. He won the Calder Trophy earlier this morning, it was announced. And I don't think anyone necessarily surprised he won. I definitely think he was worthy of that. I think he should have won. He would have had my first-place pick. What I found a little bit surprising was it was overwhelming. Like, he had almost every first-place vote. It was almost unanimous. And secondly, Dustin Wolf was number 2. Yep. Dustin Wolf ahead of Macklin Celebrini in voting. A little bit surprised by that. He had a great year, but Celebrini
was there like one guy that didn't give him a first-place vote?
Who, Hudson?
Yeah.
Like how many? What was the number?
There were a few. I'd have to go back and look at it. It was not unanimous.
Would you hunt it down? Would you want to know?
Remember the guy from Pittsburgh who didn't give McDavid the heart or that one year?
Or what about Derek Jeter? Derek Jeter into the Hall of Fame, and one guy said no.
Right. Well, listen, Hudson by the end, I'd say by February you could tell this was the guy.
As soon as he started ripping off all the records, tying them, it was game over.
Like the amount of minutes he was playing, the points he was putting up, and furthermore, he was on a team like pushing them into the playoffs.
Yeah.
Which counts for something. You don't necessarily hold it against the other guys, but he was a big reason why the Habs even made it.
Big time.
In a market like Montreal where it's so crazy. And like we were there in September for the President's Cup, and we were talking about Lane Hudson because it was nonstop. Like I was watching RDS. I don't even know what they're saying. I just kept hearing Lane Hudson. Well, like they're speaking French, and all they keep saying is Lane Hudson. That's all I keep hearing.
It was, but they were. Remember, he had that ridiculous saucer pass, like 3 zones that sent a guy in on a breakaway at like training camp, like even like a scrimmage in training camp.
Right.
And we were all like, "Oh my God, this is ridiculous."
He's a pretty good player,
and it never stopped.
It never
all
stopped.
season long. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, just a phenomenal year, and you couldn't ask for anything better. He wins the Calder, and it was announced today, and I'm sure this really wraps up his day. This is what he was hoping for. Wins the Calder and then comes on with us here on Overdrive. Here he is, Lane Hudson. Lane, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you guys?
We're doing great, man. Congrats. It was obviously an incredible season. You're certainly worthy of the Calder. You had all of our votes, even though none of us could vote. I think, Noodles, you were a voter.
Yeah, I voted, and he was my number 1.
Yeah. But at what point during the season did this seem possible for you? Like, when did it start to dawn on you, like, I'm legitimately in the hunt here for Rookie of the Year, and I think I can win it?
Honestly, it never really crossed my mind. I think with the group we had, we were battling till the end, till game 82, and the hunt was different. We were in a hunt for a playoff spot, so helps you kind of take your mind off maybe that hunt. And it was never really a hunt. It was just I enjoyed what we were doing and wanted to help as much as I could.
Lane, you're obviously a very skilled player. That's your biggest asset as a player. What did you feel was most important to add to that? Was it like strength, competitiveness? Like I'm pretty sure you figured out this year you can't just play on skill alone in the National Hockey League. What was the most important thing you added to it?
Yeah, I think for every guy in the NHL, they want to be able to perform every night, and I think it's the mental sharpness that keeps guys around and keeps them, in the league. So just that in itself is a huge component and something that, as a group we were trying to build and, wanted to just perform at the highest level every night.
With Lane Hudson, I'm curious, not that you would know any other option or any other experience, but playing in Montreal, we referenced when we were there in September and camp was just opening, the buzz around you was incredible and the adrenaline in the city and the confidence around the team. How much of a factor did that play into your season and your ability to stay, like you just said, in the game and performing? The fact that you were in a city like Montreal and it was as electric as it was because of the push you guys were making.
Yeah, I mean, it was honestly surreal. The season hasn't even started like at that time, and just feeling, you feel it. You just you feel the excitement. You feel the energy of people wanting us to do so well and wanting to win a lot. So it's just an amazing scenario for anyone who gets to play for Montreal. And I couldn't be more fortunate that I get to do it for the Canadiens.
So as you continue to build your brand in Montreal and grow in your stardom, did you get any advice from maybe a veteran guy, a Brendan Gallagher or a Josh Anderson who had played there for a while on how I don't know if the right words is how to manage the noise, manage the attention you do get in Montreal, and just relax and play hockey?
Yeah, I mean, that's been kind of how it is all year. Guys know the market, know how it could be tough at times, but they just said, enjoy it, embrace it, have fun. You only get to play for, so long, so why not take advantage of it and just enjoy it? And, guys were kind of referencing their rookie years and how, special and fun it is. And it's just amazing to hear. And, I just felt really fortunate with the group we had as well.
I always found it weird watching the Stanley Cup Finals, Lane, and already kind of well into like the training program. Are you already like back on the ice and full swing like summer training?
Yeah, which is, it sucks because we would do anything to be playing right now, and it makes you that much more hungry. But just kind of already feeling it, getting ready. Could be a fun season next season too.
We're chatting with Lane Hudson, who won the Calder Trophy earlier today. It was announced, and you look back on your season, 60 assists, which is just incredible, and the amount of minutes you played. Like if I took you back to September or early October, and I told you you'd be top 10 in the NHL in minutes played per game, and you'd hit 60 assists, like which achievement would you have thought may have been more difficult to get in the end?
Honestly, it's just, you never know what to expect coming into a season. So to have the support I had and, guys allowing me to adjust and learn on the fly, it was a big help and, helping me kind of grow as a player and learn a lot. And, it attributes to that. But, all that stuff comes and goes. It's about what you learn and, how does it help the team win? And that's all I was trying to do.
So next year's a big one for, every hockey player because the Olympics are back. Best on best. You're an American. The Americans are stacked. There's a lot of great defensemen. Have you allowed yourself to think of that achievement, the idea that next year you'll be playing for scouts, not only, in the NHL, but also the American team? And what do you think you'll have to do to make that team?
Yeah. Honestly, it's, you think about it, but, they're just going to take the best guys that are available, and that's how it should be. So try not to think about it too much. And, there's some great American defensemen in the NHL, and, yeah, I guess we'll see. I mean, it'd be a huge honor, but, you never know what to expect.
Absolutely. Go for it, man. I'll tell you what, you play like you did this year, nothing would surprise anyone because it was just an incredible year. And congrats on the Calder. I guess, are they doing Vegas this year? They're not doing the big show anymore and the big party. So maybe you're missing out on that.
I don't think so.
Oh, that's disappointing.
That's tough.
That's disappointing. That would be fun. But it's an incredible achievement. Again, well deserved and earned. So congrats on a great first year, and we're looking forward to seeing what you have in store next year.
Yeah, thank you guys.
You got it. There's Lane Hudson of the Montreal Canadiens. Calder winning. That's a great achievement, man.
Yeah.
Only one guy gets it.
Joe. He's just like, you got to work hard, and I kind of got rewarded with that, and that's what I did, and I just want to keep getting better. And he's not like full of himself. And
I love
he just
it.
Keep
very
trucking
humble.
ahead.
You know what? I loved his first answer where he said, honestly, I wasn't thinking about it because we were thinking about making the playoffs. And that's where your head is at, is like the team achievement. And when you consider the Olympics next year, they, again, on the left, like Quinn Hughes will be there, Werenski's going to be there, Slavin's going to be there. Those three left-shot defensemen. McAvoy's going to be there, Faber's going to be there. Thinking of who I'm missing from that top six. But could he be a seventh or eighth guy on that team?
Yeah.
Like he might be. I wouldn't be shocked.
He's going to have to play his ass off because those, like, they're more of the big-bodied type. Like Cole Caulfield's 35-40 goal scorer. He didn't even get a sniff.
He didn't make it. Yeah.
Right.
So
That's tough. It's not
Billy
easy
Guerin's
to do.
philosophy was kind of bigger dudes, and the thing is, when you've got a Werenski and you've got different guys back there that can carry the mail and run the power play, it's like this kid's going to have to say to himself, where am I going to fit in? How can I contribute? Because maybe it's not going to be on the power play, so where is it? Or maybe it will be on the power. Maybe he plays so good he forces Billy Guerin to say, put me on the power play.
Well, he definitely is on their radar, and a lot of times if he has a start on him where he's got, 20 assists in his first, 30 games, that type of stuff, or he's a point a game in Montreal next year by 25 games into the season, I think, they'll definitely have to look at him and say, where does he fit? But I think he's a fantastic player, and he surprised a lot of people because he's not a big guy. And he didn't score. It took him a while to score his first goal.
Right.
But then once he did, he got rolling and 60 assists. That's
60 assists,
insane,
and he averaged like almost 23 minutes a night. Like it was an incredible year. And, it's not a surprise. He's got to grow. He's got to get better defensively. Like that's the next step, right? The evolution, and keep growing and try to follow the footsteps of Quinn Hughes. That's the guy you're following. With that kind of rover skating skill set type mentality that he has.
Dominate the whole game, not
exactly.
just kind of the power play or the odd rush. It's dominating games, and you'll put yourself in contention to win the Norris, not the Rookie of the Year.
Big time.
He might be in the hut one of these days. You never
There's
know.
a chance. All right. Well, speaking of which, we've got our huts. I don't know if you guys want to get to the hut today. We thought about it yesterday. You threw it out there.
Damn straight.
Okay.
And I don't even know if we're allowed to do this, but my first entry, I have a 1A, 1B.
Okay, so we'll do that next, all right? Hold your huts. Hold your hut, all right? Just hold yourself. We'll come back with the hut. We'll explain who's going in the hut, what the labeling is for the hut. And we've got Kevin Lowe coming up, confirmed or denied coming up. Mike Johnson will join us today. Danny Green coming up, too. Former Raptor alumni, 3-time NBA champ. At 6:30, Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and up on YouTube Live.
Now, back to Overdrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
All right, Overdrive continues, powered by FanDuel. We've got Kevin Lowe and Confirm or Deny coming up, but the hut was established last week, where there's all types of different huts, right? All types of different huts. And you threw out yesterday, how about the most clutch playoff performers in the last 10 years? What does that hut look like? Who's entering that hut? And I guess, you've got your own keys in your own hut. Sour keys are probably in that hut, ironically enough. And you can put 5 guys in there, 5-pack of guys over the last decade. There it is. Doors open.
Doors open. Let's all go. I'll go first with our first person we would put in the hut. The last 10 years, the best playoff performers. And I would like to welcome in, like I said, 1A and 1B, and you can't dispute either of those two. Nikita Kucherov, welcome. And right behind him, Sam Bennett, welcome.
Wow, you threw Sam Bennett in there with Kucherov.
I had to, guys. I had to. After what Sam Bennett, and by the way, he hasn't exactly been a clown show the last couple of years.
No, the guy shows up in the playoffs all the time.
You want to talk about playing the 2C position to perfection? He's done it in a massive part. He's clutch. He scores big goals. Everyone's documented, not a big regular season performer as far as putting up stats, but he brings it. Those 3 cups each for both, or 3 finals each for both of these guys. Nikita Kucherov and Sam Bennett. You can decorate how you like.
Okay, so those guys are going. So do you have 4 more guys that are going in? Like
I do. I just had to
things up as it goes along.
No, I'm not. I had a 1A, 1B for my first selection.
All right,
Sorry.
run us through
That
2,
wasn't
3,
Noodles,
4,
go
5.
ahead with your first selection into your hut.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
My first 3 selections are then.
No, 1.
Well, is it only 1 then?
Why
That's
doesn't
it.
O just finish, and then we'll have to.
We're going to finish your whole list.
Our
right?
our heads are exploding here because Sam Bennett came out of nowhere and he's in there.
That's
okay,
recency
so that
bias.
was my 1.
Yes.
I had a 2-pack for my 1.
Okay, who else do you
Number
have?
2, I have Andrei Vasilevsky. Let's not forget, guys, that guy was so dynamite, and he won so many hockey games for that Tampa Bay team.
Yeah.
Incredible. Connor McDavid, you have to have him on your list. If you don't, credibility right out the window. You can't ignore the points. You can't ignore the points.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
I think he's got 148 points in the
More points than
incredible.
anyone in the last 10 years. Yep.
Yeah.
In the playoffs and the regular season, of course.
The next guy I have, maybe one of the classiest competitors, classiest players of all time, Sid the Kid. My man, my friend.
Okay.
And
Your
I would
friend.
put
Okay. All right.
Yes.
Yes,
And
of
the
course.
last guy, Sasha Barkov, just not like ripping up the score sheet, but real, like dependable, like competitor, getting the job done, playing both ends of the rink. And everyone was like, he's the best defensive guy in the league. And he kind of had this kind of softer approach. And you just wondered if he would ever be that guy. He's been incredible. 3 finals in a row.
Okay. There you go. That hut, O's hut has been established. Noodles, you'll do yours in the next hour. I'll save mine for the end of the show because
Really? Because you want to come over the top?
No, it's not like that at all.
Be a
Though I
huge
feel like I've
argument.
been called out. I've been called out, and I'll explain why I feel like I've been called out, and I'll explain why I have a different key and a different hut.
Just come back and do them. I want to hear both of you.
All right, Noodles, you can
All right.
fire off your hut. We'll get to that. Kevin Lowe, Confirm or Deny coming up. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2.
This is Overdrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog on TSN 1050.
Ever since I was a G, I've been legit.
Hour 2 Overdrive continues, powered by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. Confirmed or deny later in the hour. Jay's back in action. What a ball game last night. Alejandro Kirk, man, the guy is absolutely nails at the plate right now.
Professional hitter, Paul Ross calls him.
Yes, professional hitter. Like, all he does is come up with big hits. Like, he's so comfortable. He hit a home run last night. He had that big hit in the 10th last night. The Jays are on fire. Like, there's no other way to put it. The Blue Jays are absolutely on fire. And they had full control of that game, and Rodriguez got hit, and then they tie it up in the 9th. It was just an unreal ball game last night. And the Jays, they're on a heater. They're back in action tonight. So more on that a little bit later this hour, maybe confirm or deny on whether or not Alejandro Kirk is going to be an all-star this year. Feel like there's a real chance that's going to happen.
For the second time.
Yes. Yeah, well, the first year he really broke out, he was an all-star. Remember, he had that OPS up over 800. He was unreal.
They had
for the
like
Jays.
5 guys at the all-star game that year.
They did, and it's funny how that's changed, right? You go on a heater. Remember 2 months ago, it was like maybe Hoffman would go, and that's it. No one else is in contention, and now all of a sudden there's some chatter out there that maybe a couple other Blue Jays could be in the hunt, including Alejandro Kirk. So a big ball game for him last night. Very clutch. Very clutch. A clutch performer, Alejandro Kirk. He'd go in my hut right now if I'm putting forth great Toronto sports storylines. Al Kirk is right at the forefront.
Need a mini hut. Tiny little hut for him.
Yes. Well, did you see him trying to go from first to home last night? Like, they stopped him at third. Like, I feel like whoever the third base coach is, when he sees Kirk, if the ball is in play, you just tell him, stop, don't even think about it.
I think the third base coach has a mandate. You ever wheel him home, you're fired.
Yes, I agree.
No matter where the ball is.
I don't care where it is.
Yeah.
I don't care. Ground rule double where he gets home plate. No, we're not accepting that.
We're going to hold him at third.
We're going to hold him. He will be staying here. I don't care what happens. Alejandro Kirk never has the green light when he's on the base pads.
So funny.
But when he's at the plate, he certainly does, man. He's dialed in. He looks great. And it was a great ball game. The Jays are on fire right now. So Danny Green coming up later this afternoon as well. Kevin Lowe in a few moments. Oh, you announced your hut. You had 6 guys in a 5-man hut. Kind of like those sour keys. Like you were trying to
stuffed it in the bag there.
Get as many clutch players in there as possible.
I had 6 instead of 5. I had 1A, 1B,
and Sam Bennett deserves a lot of love, like he does, right? He deserves a lot of love for the O-Dogs, top player performer since the 2016 Stanley Cup playoffs. So we're talking about the last 10 years.
Yeah,
there it is. A lot of great names, a lot of clutch players, a lot of big performers.
Yeah.
Noodles, you want to take the floor?
Noodles, you go. And Hayes, I want yours before the end of the hour because I want that posted to see who has the better one before the end of the show.
All right. No problem.
All right. I mean, a lot of the same names for me.
Yeah.
I didn't, in no particular order. I just went Sidney Crosby, which I think Sidney Crosby has to be there. He's a winner. He's a guy who, even at 30, 7 or 8, he's still a top-tier player. Like
9 and 10 years ago, he won back-to-back Conn Smythe.
Exactly.
To start this timeline.
Yeah. So I went with Crosby. I went with Bobrovsky, who is, it wasn't that long ago. Florida was trying to give his contract away, and it was Alex Lyon who got them in the playoffs.
Oh,
but since then,
not anymore.
It's been unbelievable. And I think Bob, I threw the other guy. I went with 2 goalies. So Vasilevsky was the other one because it wasn't long ago he was John Wick, scaring the hell out of everybody. So, and then I went with McDavid and Draisaitl. Draisaitl playing hurt, the high ankle sprain. This guy's played in broken hand and ribs last year. Like, this guy, it doesn't matter. Availability, he does it, and he still produces regardless of the circumstance. And McDavid is just, winning the Conn Smythe last year. He was a man possessed. I don't think his team was good enough to win last year. I don't, and I thought he dragged them to it. And Stuart Skinner settled in, all that type of stuff, but I had McDavid in there. I'm going to throw one other guy in there if you want. If I can, would be Kucherov. Honorable mention would be Kucherov because I feel like he should be. I missed this, though, guys. I thought he won the Conn Smythe. It was Hedman. It was Hedman that won the Conn
Jamie,
Smythe.
let me just say this about both of our lists. Shame on us because there is a massive omission. And that man's name is Braden Point.
Yeah.
Do not forget what that man did every time the Tampa Bay Lightning needed a big goal. He was the guy that scored it.
And like I just said, I thought Kucherov won the Conn Smythe that year. Victor Hedman got it. So we're omitting him as well.
You're right, because Vasilevsky got it 1 year and then Hedman.
Yeah.
I had a real difficult time with mine because of that. Because I think Hedman should be in this, and I think Braden Point, that first playoff run in particular, I believe in the bubble, that guy.
Dude,
has
all
so
of them,
many,
man. The
all
guy
of them
just,
for sure.
He
scored.
He scored.
You know who's been great for 10 years in the playoffs is Brad Marchand.
Yes.
Like Marchand's fifth in points, I believe, in playoff points in the last 10 years, I believe. Like that's how good he's been, and that's how much and the Bruins went every single year. They went to a Cup final in 19. You know, they go there every single year. And Rantanen's another guy I thought of putting in because
here's a crazy one, though. Corey Perry's been to, 5 finals in 6 years?
Yeah.
Like, again, he's not dragging the team there, but he's there, man, and contributing.
Joe Pavelski, man. Remember Big Goal Joe?
Yeah.
Like, Joe Pavelski scored some monster playoff goals.
Yeah.
So those are a lot of names that are honorable mentions. I'll get to my list a little bit later because there's a lot of crossover.
I know what you're going to do, you snake. Some of the great points we just made, they're going to enter your list.
He's going to adjust his list.
I might adjust mine on the fly.
Yeah, I know for a fact Braden Point's going to go on your list.
I had him in my honorable mention. I have him right in front of me.
I did.
I forgot about Braden Point. I forgot about Braden Point. He's not in my 5. He's not. I have a 5-pack, Hud. I don't have 6. Yeah. I don't have 1 B's and 2 C's.
I know. I added in
3 F's and all that. I have a 5-pack.
Next time we got to bring this up. I mean, our next guest, I played in the playoffs against him. I believe he scored a playoff goal against me.
Is that
when
right?
He was with the New York Rangers in a 6-0 win by the Rangers.
You were with the Islanders? Was that 94?
I was with they beat us in 4. We actually lost in 3. It was that bad. They beat us up so bad. 4-game sweep. It was ugly.
That's
and I do believe Kevin got me in game 2. It was.
Okay.
I started.
Well, here he is. Long-time NHL. He's won 1 million Stanley Cups, seemingly, and he scored on Noodles in the playoffs. There's Kevin Lowe. Do you remember that goal, Kevin?
I don't actually, but I remember the series very well, Jamie. It must have been the 6th goal. It couldn't have been an important one if I scored it.
Everybody was scoring. It was point night every night. It felt like for your team. You guys were so good. You guys just dominated pretty much right to the cup.
Yeah, it was a very veteran team. The Rangers really they were swinging for the fences, bringing in a lot of ex-Oilers, and we weren't a young team. Jay Wells and myself and Doug Litster played the back end, and we were all in our mid-30s. But it just spoke to how good we were up front, and of course in nets with Mike Richter. A long time ago, good memory. Hopefully it'll be another good memory for one of my teams in the coming week or so. A little better than last night anyways.
What did you make of last night, Kevin? It was a bit of it was just uncharacteristic, and we were talking about the timing of it. And you, of all people, have been to so many finals, understand that you just can't have a throwaway game when you get to the end of the line here. And that's exactly what last night was. It was a gift, and it was a throwaway, and all aspects of the game was a mess.
Yeah, no question. Dog's breakfast. It can happen. It happened to us before. We lost in the Stanley Cup Finals 6-1, and it appeared to be, one-sided the way the game last night was. But I think there's a couple of things. Although it was a 6-1 game, the game is always closer than the score shows. I really thought, the first goal was a disaster, complete defensive disaster. Everyone scrambling around, nobody taking anyone. And but that came just after when I thought Ekblad deserved a penalty on McDavid. And, you can't blame it on the refs, but so be it. They score a goal. And then the lack of discipline really started to show. And you can't take penalties. I mean, Florida, they're feeling it right now. You can't take penalties anyhow. But when a team's feeling it on the power play like they are, And, the worst part about taking penalties is that you're not on the offense, you're defending. So, at least in the first period, which, just gives a team like Florida just all the power in the world. And Verhaeghe's goal was a beautiful shot. I mean, he just under the pipe and stuff. So it was going their way. They fought back. Of course, the ageless one, Corey got a goal for us, and it was close. And then, then another seeing eye shot by Sam Reinhart, who's been quiet in the series, and that was a beautiful shot. And then, then the game really broke open when Bennett ran over Pud Colson, and then the kid got up, showed all kinds of courage, tried to make a play, an offensive play. Probably shouldn't, because he's probably knocked Calder in a cucumber there. But he still, in fairness to him, he tries to make a play because they're down 3-1. Normally, if their score wasn't that way, he would have dumped it in, and then Bennett's off to the races. And, man, what a series he's having.
No kidding. He's been unreal with Kevin Lowe. And you referenced that, you've been in the position the Oilers were in, losing 6-1 in a Cup final game. I'm curious, how you settled your nerves after that, how you pushed beyond it, and you settled in for Game 4, because, this is as big as it gets for Edmonton on Thursday night. What kind of advice, based on your own experience, would you give this team to make sure they're prepared for Thursday?
Well, be ready. When you... that sounds crazy, but be ready means, they got to be more disciplined. They can't be taking penalties. They got to have their A game in all aspects. They got to go in there. It's going to be a hornet's nest. Florida's smelling blood right now, and they get them down 3-1. That's tough to come back. Although, they almost did it last year, but they've got to have a good first period, like they have had in the other series, where they've really come out. And they've been the better team. They've been getting the scoring chances. They've been playing in the other team's end, and that gives the whole team confidence. Okay, we're in this one. Maybe gets the Panthers a little bit on their heels. Maybe they got to start taking some. The Panthers take penalties, and that's a bit of the, metamorphosis of a win in the Stanley Cup playoffs on the road.
Kevin, I'm sure most of the Oilers fan base wants to strangle Sam Bennett right now, but I don't think anyone can disagree how well he's playing. He's just a fantastic talent come playoff time. Does he remind you of anybody from back in the day, just a guy that come playoff time, he would elevate and he'd be a pain in the ass, and he would always be right in the mix, contributing in all areas of the game?
Yeah, for sure. He's playing unbelievable. Nice time to be having a great run like he's having, but he's been good for a couple of years. Ever since he left Alberta, thank goodness he's not around here anymore. Right. I remember when the Flames drafted him, I thought, we're going to have to deal with that kid for, 10 or 15 years, because I admired him. I admired the way he played, and his game is really coming. The Four Nations goal was a huge goal to give Canada a chance. But a little bit of Rafi Torres. Rafi was, not scoring like Sam Bennett is scoring, but he had some huge hits in the playoffs for us in the 06 run. He put McCallick out. He could skate, really skate. And the way Bennett does, skate fast and launch into guys. And, I'd love to have him on our team. But he's having a great series. And, interestingly enough, really him and Marchand are doing all the scoring. Reinhart was solid to the other night, and a lot of the other guys were silent, but I think Connor, what he said today, it's go time for them in Game 4. He's announced it, so I suspect they'll be ready to play.
So Kevin, at the end of the, we'll call it the last 10 minutes of the game, it kind of got a little bit old school, where they were put some frustration. I like Chris Knobloch said, boys being boys. I kind of chuckled at that one. What do you make of that? Is it you always trying to take a piece of your opponent in the finals, or deep into the playoffs? Is it something that can rally the guys a little bit, or is it just frustrations you're trying to get it out?
Well, the game's changed, Jamie. In our day, it was you get your pound of flesh for sure, and the score gets out. You the ankles, doesn't matter as long as you don't get suspended. But it sends a message for sure. It's the right time to do it. And I don't know. I mean, I don't think it's going to necessarily carry over into Game 4, but I think it probably released some frustration for the Oilers, but they know they can't play that way. I mean, they got to play a high tempo game and finish the checks the way they have in the previous series, and force Florida into taking penalties. Not the opposite.
With Kevin Lowe, and you mentioned what McDavid said. That maybe they haven't had their best stuff, but it's coming, and it's got to be there, obviously, on Thursday, Game 4. We referenced the Ekblad hit where he got him there coming through the middle of the ice, and he didn't have his best stuff, and Draisaitl didn't have his best stuff. Do you think that's what Florida is doing to them, or do you think that was just like last night, they just didn't have their stuff? And what would you give us a projection on what you think McDavid and Draisaitl will play like Game 4?
Well, that was a good hit by Ekblad. I mean, Connor doesn't get. Actually, he got hit in Game 2 on the power play by Ekblad. I think carrying it in the zone, and you almost never see that on the power play. So, I mean, Florida's defense is playing great. I mean, Jones has probably played his best hockey. He's been a big addition. And they're tall and rangy. I mean, Schmidt is I don't know how old he is, but he's just playing unbelievable. Like a guy was sort of basically a 5'6" defenseman has been really noticeable in this series, and so that's making a lot tougher on the Oilers forwards. But they got to find to get away. They could really grind. Not so much Connor's line. Leon's line can get it in and grind and cycle. Connor's usually on, a rush type of player, but the other line's got to get in there and soften them up a bit, and again make them play in their end a bit, so it get them defending, get them on their heels, so it opens up for a guy like McDavid to be able to make those high speed rushes and score off the rush.
Well, it is go time Thursday night, Game 4. It's going to be a fun one. Last night was disappointing, but it's only 2-1 in the series. A lot of hockey left. Great catching up with you as always, Kevin. Enjoy the rest of the series, and we'll do it again soon.
Okay, guys. Thanks.
There he is,
Thanks,
Kevin Lowe. Has won, again, a lot of Stanley Cups in his career. 6 Stanley Cups between the Oilers and the Rangers. Joining us here on the Maple Toyota Hotline. Drive the built-in Canada fuel-efficient, fun-to-drive Toyota RAV4. Gas or hybrid models available. Visit mapletoyota.com. Listen, there's nothing the Oilers can do about last night. You just got to reset and get after it. But it is put up or shut up time. And those are always the most fun and entertaining platforms, for a big athlete, especially who we're talking about. It's McDavid in particular, but McDavid and Draisaitl is a 2-pack. Like, backs up against the wall, down 2-1 in Florida. Building's going to be rocking. Go out there, and you got to have the game of your life. You got to just have an unbelievable game. And it's not only them, but they got to drive the bus.
I'll tell you what, Hazy, your boy Rafi Torres, he might be driving around Coppenwood with no gear on after that comment.
That's a pretty big compliment for Rafi.
I thought he was going to say Mark Messier. He said Rafi Torres.
Rafi, yeah. I was thinking Dale Hunter or something like that.
Well, if you look at it, though, I mean, if you look at Bennett's playoff, there's been some injuries attached to some of the stuff around him, obviously. And, Rafi had that, right? That kind of reckless abandon, hit, accidentally
Flying,
on purpose, fall here, and all of that.
Hits.
And like that, it is a pretty good comparison. Rafi's just a bigger body. Like, that's the one thing. Bennett is wiry. Like, he's not this 6'4", 220. If you see him, on the street, he's not a commanding physical presence. He plays like that, plays a lot bigger than he is, but he can get you because he can skate. He's got a great anticipation, and he's got a mean streak. Like, and he can fight. Like, he's a tough guy. But like, he more has the Wendell type of Doug Gilmour build. Mm-hmm. Like, he's not a massive guy, but he plays like it. Like, he plays like he's 240.
Yeah,
that's a difference.
No, he's been right in the middle of everything, man.
Yeah,
he has been. He's been outstanding, and this Florida Panthers team has been as well. All right, do you want me to fire out my 5-pack for
I
the
want
Hut
it.
here?
I know that's why that interview did not go that long.
No, it was great.
You are horned up to.
Not in the least. We got Confirmed coming up. We got MJ coming up. We got a lot.
Fire away, because I just know that Braden Point was not a part of this, and now
I
he
have
is.
not added Point. Point.
Go ahead.
I'm telling you, I had honorable mention. I had Rantanen, Hedman, Pavelski, Point, Barkov, Kachuk, Marchand, Bennett. Those were other names
Who is
out there.
on your list?
Well, okay, no particular order. Open the door to the Hut. The most clutch playoff performers in the last decade. This is what. Let me go backwards. I have Kucherov on this list. Kucherov is in the Hut. Like Nikita Kucherov, even though he hasn't won a Smythe, you're right. That guy, he didn't play all season and showed up and put up a ridiculous performance.
Disgusting.
And every playoff he does it. It's not only about the 3 times going to a cup final. It's every single time. It seems like Kucherov, especially when he was in the zone, I had to have him there. Now, I kind of regret not putting Hedman in ahead of him.
Yeah,
I do regret not having Hedman above in front of Kucherov. But I had already submitted my list, so I wasn't going to change it. I'm a man of integrity and honor. I wasn't going to do that. But I actually kind of think that's a misstep. That Hedman playing like 30 minutes a night probably should have been in ahead of Kucherov. I have Sergei Bobrovsky in the Hut. You're the starting goalie of a team that goes to 3 straight cup finals in a decade. You have to be in there. Like, you have to be. And that's why I also have Andrei Vasilevsky. I have both goalies, just like you, Noodles.
Yeah.
You have to. Those are the 2 predominant goaltending performances of the last decade in the playoffs. And honestly, I don't think there's anyone even close. Like, the 2 of them have basically punched their ticket into the Hall of Fame first ballot based on what's happened in the last decade. Just playing every single night, never taking a night off, ever. Never a game time decision. Not once with those guys.
And you see Bobrovsky, if you see him with his gear off, he's like 160 pounds.
Yes, exactly.
Like he's so skinny and frail, but man,
he's in
a player.
every single night.
Yep.
Every single night. So I got Bob and Vasilevsky. I have Sidney Crosby in the Hut. Now, again, the last 4 years, they haven't been in the playoffs.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
The first 2 years of this 10-year run, he won back-to-back Conn Smythe. And then they went to the playoffs the year after that. I think got into the second round. He was great. You have 2 Conn Smythes in a 10-year window. You have to be in the Hut.
Yeah,
right?
For sure.
Now, this is where I had difficulty.
This is where you get stupid.
I had to pick one. I had to pick one or the other. Now, I was honestly going to say you have to have a Stanley Cup to be in my Hut. That was going to be my thought.
I thought about that element too.
Like, if you haven't won, should you be in the Hut? I don't know. I think that's a reasonable conversation to have.
It's kind of like the Hall of Fame. Winning helps get you in there.
Yes.
This is our Hall of Fame.
And that's why, again, Hedman makes sense. Rantanen's got a cup. Point's got 2. You know, like Matthew Tkachuk, Bennett, like these guys have won. And maybe they should have been in there.
I guess, just quickly, were any of those guys like in the Conn Smythe conversation? Like, was Rantanen ever? I don't know.
Well, Hedman literally won one.
No,
Rantanen
I understand that.
didn't because Makar was such a rock star. Makar's another name. Here's a guy, the only guy to win with multiple teams, Pietrangelo. Won in 19 and in 23.
Good one.
Petro maybe should have been an honorable mention for the Hut.
Add him to my list, Petro.
Okay.
Honorable mention.
This is like the golf picks all of a sudden.
Oh, I know. Now everyone's going to have 15 guys. Before you know it, Mitch Marner is going to be in the Hut.
Yeah. Exactly.
I have Leon Draisaitl as my 5th.
Wow.
And final key to the Hut, which means Connor McDavid is not in mine.
Dude, I'm sorry. I think you just flushed your list down the toilet with no McJesus. Both of you guys.
I had a difficult time.
I had McDavid in my list.
Yes, both of you did. Because you guys are gutless, and you just say, I got to put him in.
You just put yourself in. When this poll goes up, you just put yourself in last place with no McJesus.
I have said for multiple years now, I believe Leon Draisaitl is the most clutch big game player in the league. I've said it many times on this show. That's not to say McDavid's not. I had a difficult time between the 2. I obviously did.
One thing I disagree. Like the goalies, we talked about the position, but to have them 1-2.
How can you not have Vasilevsky?
I just think you went too far with that. It's an ass kiss to Noodles, and you tried to do something.
The 2 of them are the reason. The only reason a team goes to 3 straight Cup Finals is because of the goalie. Ultimately, it's the only reason it's not possible if you have flaky goaltending at any point. And they never were flaky. They'd be flaky for games here or there. Right. 3 straight Cup finals, you have to have the goalies in there. You have to. And the reason I have Draisaitl ahead of McDavid is you look at their point. They both played 93 playoff games in the last 10 years. McDavid, I believe, has 11 more points than Draisaitl. Only 11. That was a bit surprising. Draisaitl, I believe, has 8 more goals than him. He does. So he scores more goals. He scores bigger goals. He plays hurt. Also, at the start of this window, remember when they got to the conference final that first time and McDavid was banged up and he wasn't playing? It was Draisaitl that was driving him there. That was back in 17, I think it was. That was him. He was the best player. Absolutely the best player on that run, not McDavid. And Draisaitl, he plays with lesser wingers and I got to put Draisaitl ahead of him. I got him. For clutch over the last 10 years, I got Draisaitl ahead of McDavid. There's my HUD, 5-pack.
I add them both, but I agree with you with Draisaitl. Even playing hurt, that high ankle sprain, we all watched it happen against L.A.
Right.
Every other player in the league, maybe there's a couple, wouldn't have been able to play. He played the rest of the playoffs with that.
Clutch, man. Stones, courage. He's big. He takes on everything. I love him.
Yeah.
And I love McDavid. It's not that I don't love McDavid. I mean, clearly.
It's just, add him to your list then if you really feel like it.
No, because there's only 5. I'm not like you two. I don't just, willy-nilly, everyone gets one.
I just feel like it should have been a 10-pack because are there any defensemen on this list?
Well, that's why this is so stupid that we don't have Hedman in there. I think Pietrangelo and Makar could absolutely put their hands up.
Yeah. It's all about how you look at things.
Forsling.
Everyone has their own vision here. Nothing's wrong. There's no wrong answer.
Oh, okay.
I'll tell you what we could do by the end of the show to really spice this up is do the top 5 least clutch players in the last 10 years.
Well,
if you really want to get cooking.
Let's just, we really want to do that?
Let's not do that.
You really want to start sending people off into a complete...
The fact that we have to act like this is pretty sad because we know the reason why.
Well, everyone knows there's going to be Leaf players scattered on that list.
Yeah.
I mean,
we're not going to do that.
Let's not do that. That's all you're going to do is upset some people.
We'll do it on July 2nd, maybe. Maybe on July 2nd we'll come up with that list. We'll see what happens.
Oh, because one of those players might not be a Leaf anymore, so then you could take a shot at him on the way out of town?
Possibly. No, I wouldn't do that. I don't do that, and I wouldn't do that. All right, Confirm or Deny coming up. And we got Danny Green in about an hour. Mike Johnson coming up as well. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2.
Now, back to Overdrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
I can neither confirm or deny that this is in fact a segment.
Boston trades Andrew Raycroft to Toronto in exchange for the rights to Tuukka Rask.
It's been my honor and a privilege to serve as the general manager of the Toronto Maple Leafs Hockey Club.
It's time for Confirm or Deny.
Do you regret giving all those gentlemen the no trades or no movement clauses?
Oh, I can neither confirm or deny that.
I can't confirm or deny.
All right, I can confirm that a massive omission was made, but I don't think it was necessarily in the last decade.
By all of us?
Yeah, well, hold on a second. Now, I think to be fair to us, it's the last decade. Now, if it was the last 15 years.
Say the name.
Malkin and your boy, our boy, Mr. Game 7, Justin Williams, would be knocking on the door of the Hut.
That's not 10 years, though.
You're right, and that's what caught me off, because Nate just sent me a message saying, man, what about Mr. Game 7? Are you guys nuts? And I panicked. I was like, you know what? You're right, but it's not in the last decade. He was really clutch.
LA won in what, 12 and 14, didn't they?
Right, and so he was on Washington, though. Did he not
That was
win
my
a cup
mistake.
with Washington?
We should have did since 2000, and then we would have had some real
Then you got
juicy...
Justin Williams in there, Willie. There's a lot of guys.
Drew Doughty, Kopitar, all
that Chicago team. Taves, Keith.
Yeah.
That's when you start getting crazy. You get basically post-lockout, man, there'd be a million different guys that would be knocking down the door to the Hut.
Yeah.
All right.
I
anyway,
agree.
my bad. Shouldn't have even brought it up because it wasn't an omission. We're fine. We're good.
Yeah.
All right. Confirm or deny. 2 of Marchand, Bennett, and or Ekblad will leave the Panthers in free agency. At least 2 of those 3 guys will be leaving the Panthers in free agency.
I'm going to confirm it because I just talked about an hour ago them getting together and saying, guys, let's keep the band back together. But you go back-to-back cup, I think there's a part of you that says, that's off the list, and I want to cash in. And if they want to cash in, I don't know if Florida can do it. And I as soon as I forget which one of you said that, but it just makes sense. Like, you go back-to-back, like, unless they're literally going out for beers saying, we got to stay together for the three-peat. And do you also want to stay together for the downturn of it? Like we saw with Tampa, it's like you did it, and then there's kind of some weird stuff that happens after where you think you're still really good, but you're actually probably not, whether your regular season tells that to you or not. So do you really want to be a part of it? I'm going to confirm this.
I'm denying it. I think 2 of the 3 stay, and I think Marchand leaves, and I think Bennett and Ekblad stay. And Ekblad's been saying all along, Florida is the only place he wants to be. So Florida, the Panthers will say, okay, prove it to us. Take the deal that we're, fine. They're not going to pay him $12. Like
What do you think that number is then for him?
It's got to at least start with an 8 for Christ's sake.
8 times 8, something like that. And I think same thing for Bennett. Like that, those are really good numbers that's a lot of money for a lot of players. Like, and think about it. Like and again, it's not my money and it's not my career. So I shouldn't be like, if Sam Bennett's going to get 10 somewhere else on a 7-year deal, but if you can get another year, that adds in a big thing. And you take some money off. I know the tax-free thing. Nobody talks about Tennessee. Well, go to Nashville then. There's tax-free there. There's other tax-free states. Texas has one too. It just, in the end, I think Florida is building a program a lot like Tampa did. Like, we're going to pay our guys, but we're not going to go overboard. Do you want to be a part of this program? This is where you fall into line. And these guys are going to make a lot of money. I think 2 of the 3 stay, personally.
Yeah, I will confirm it as well. I'm not convinced Marchand is done down there either.
That's true.
Because they seemingly have unlimited amounts of money. Now, where it will be interesting is if these guys, if Bill Zito and company, say, well, we want to keep you, we'll give you the money, but we don't want to give you the term. Like, I'm not convinced they'll give Bennett 8 years or Ekblad 8 years. They may say, listen, we love you. We'll give you 5 at $8 million, because that's when it's going to hit. Like, you're right, it feels like they are unstoppable right now and they're invincible. it just doesn't. That's not life. That's not pro sports.
No,
like the wheels fall off.
Yeah, it goes away.
Yes, and at some point that'll happen. And if you wake up in 2 years and you're like, man, we're not who we once were, and we've got 8 guys on term for the next 5 years with full
and maybe that's
moves
a part of Florida's master plan where they're like, we want to keep evolving here and get younger. And Lundell is going to be our second line centerman, and we want it that way because we want to just keep trying to evolve here.
Well, and understand the cap's going up. So Ekblad at 29 years old on an 8-year deal, at 34, you'll still be able to trade him with term left on the deal.
Unless he gets the no move, no trade. Like, that's the thing, Noodles. I hear what you're saying, and they might just make that awkward. But if these guys are like, I'll give you a deal, but understand, I'm never leaving. Like, that's if you're getting your deal, and they may kick it down the road and say that's fine. And that might be smart. You know, if you pick off another one, and it just if you commit to everybody long term, that's, you know, it takes away any flexibility in the future.
I agree. I just think there's so much more flexibility now as the cap going up, and these are good players that aren't. This isn't 37-year-old players. Like Marchand's different. Marchand pushing for a 4-year deal at 37. Somebody's going to give it to him, but you have to be mindful that, you know, listen, Corey Perry at 40 still chugging and producing,
but he's making $1 million.
Exactly, but it's also where you play and who you play with, all of that type of stuff. But Marchand is in great shape, and he is a guy. He's a lot different than Bennett and Ekblad because those guys are still in their 20s.
Right.
So
totally.
an 8-year deal would not be a problem for an organization, for the Panthers, if they want to stretch it out and try and get the dollar down a little bit. Like, that's term is what you're trying to do, is bring the AVV down. So
we kind of established this rapid fire, confirm or deny. Game 4 is a must win for the Oilers.
Absolutely
mandatory, must win.
Especially if they get pumped again, then you're just like, don't even go back to Alberta.
You said Edmonton was going to win this in 5 3 days ago. Like,
nice.
This guy just he's the floating bag. You just everywhere it goes, like
credibility.
Like you literally said Edmonton was going to.
I made a tremendous error, and my quote was, "The Oilers are going to spank them." That's what I said.
Yeah,
I said I had a really good vibe about the Oil. I had no idea they were going to go out there and play like donkeys like they did last night. I didn't see that coming. And my guy Chuck Knobloch, he's probably more disappointed than I am.
So but it's one game. It's not. It's like.
Well, that's why I want them to make me look better than I look right now, because I am getting just absolutely crushed on Twitter. Everyone was like, "Oh, the Oilers are going to spank them, huh? You're an idiot." I'm just like, yeah, it was a mistake. Right now, as of right now, a mistake.
Listen, you were alone in the spanking, but I like the Oilers coming in. I liked them a lot after Game 1, because let's not forget, they were losing 3-1 going in to 3-2 going into the third, or 3-1 going into the third.
3-1,
Yeah, and like we know all the stats. Florida never throws that away. They get to overtime, they win. Perry scores with under 30 seconds to go to push it to OT in Game 2. You can play the analysis game both ways, but it could be 3-0 Florida right now. I'm going to confirm this though. Must win. Like you have to win Thursday night. You put yourself in that spot. You got to tie the series up. You had to get a split in Florida. That was always the case.
Yeah. I confirm it too. I think it's important not only just for the games and in having to sweep out if you lose it, but it just for the mentality of it is bouncing off a loss. There's no moral victories if you end up losing 2-1 in triple overtime on Thursday. You've got now. Keep in mind, Edmonton could have won the overtime game as well. This could have
gone the other way
for them. So it's
the
series was very tight, and then last night was a blowout, and Edmonton needs a response. But I do agree with you. I think it's a must-win.
Confirm or deny, Rory McIlroy will make the cut this week.
I'm 100% confirming this. As soon as you think a guy like that's down and out, he'll come back. It's not like he's, maybe it's a little wake-up call, and he'll be dialed. Like, still one of the top players in the world, on top of his game, Masters champion. He's kind of been sideways a little bit. distracted. I don't know what the hell he's had going on, but he can find his game, and he can find it quickly, and I believe he makes the cut.
I think he makes it, but I'm concerned about something you said, like in watching him here when we were at the course the other day. He looks distracted. He looked like he wasn't even there.
I know.
And can
he
you
looks
just
like
turn
you
it
know when
back
you see
on,
somebody that's got something like bigger than, like, I don't like the way my 7-iron looks. It's like
Right.
it looks like there's something up there.
Right. That's what
I'm
concerns
denying
me.
it, man. I don't see him making the cut. Not at this
Wow.
place. Not with his mentality, man. That was embarrassing the way he played on Friday.
It was. Yeah, and I'm glad people are calling it the way it was.
It was
because
horrendous.
They were like, that was a complete joke show, what he put on there.
Yeah.
He gets paid all that cake and goes here and has a little hit and giggle, and he wheels around my golf course and talks to people and shakes hands and kisses babies. And then he goes up there and acts like it didn't mean squat, and he played like that. It was embarrassing.
Yeah, it was. And, we call out team sport athletes all the time. Like Rory, that was awful.
Yeah,
like,
he made an ass of himself in Canada.
Yeah, it was brutal. And he's been great in the past, and he's been very gracious to the tournament and the patrons and all that in the past. But it was an awful performance. And it was bad before he got here, man. Like, I get what he did leading up to the Masters. That is where it changed. And to me, it just looks like a guy that doesn't really want to be playing right now. Again, not because of anything nefarious or anything like that. It's just he won. Like, it's the equivalent of winning the Stanley Cup, and then it's like, hey, we're going to do a little all-star shootout on July 10th. You want to come play? And you're like, no, I don't. Why would I want to do that? Mm-hmm. But you have to. Okay, fine. I'll put my gear on. You think those guys are burning around, dying to play? Like, it's going to the World Championships after your season. That's probably the best equivalent. And that's what it feels like to me. I get it's a U.S. Open, but he's got the slam. Oakmont's playing so tough. He's not sharp. And I don't think he's been working on his game. You can't show up at the U.S. Open with these conditions and not be ready to play. I'm concerned it gets really ugly for him. Like, I hope not, but I don't think he's going to make the cut. All right, confirm or deny. One of these three things will happen in the next 5 years. All right, this is a bit of a complicated one. One of these three things will happen in the next 5 years. Lane Hudson will win a Norris, Dustin Wolf will win a Vezina, or Macklin Celebrini will win a Hart.
I'm going to deny it. I just think they're really good young players, but there's so many other dialed-in rock stars that are going to be primo for the next 5 to 7 years. So I think where you're going with this is because you're so young and you're a stud and you look like that, you're automatically guaranteed other successes in the league, and that's simply not the case. Not the case.
I would deny it. The only one that I could really that Wolf is a hell of a goalie. Like,
you think he could win a Vezina in the next 5 years?
5 years, if that team continues to turn around and they need to be good in 5 years when they get a new building.
Yeah, it's tunnel vision thinking, Hayes. It's tunnel vision.
No,
thinking.
it's not.
No, on Brian's part.
Why? I just asked the question.
I no, but can I see Hudson? Because Montreal is headed.
Tunnel vision question.
Hudson is heading in the Montreal's headed in the right direction. If Demidov ends up hitting and they continue to progress and they found a goalie, they've got some stuff right. Like, you could see them in the playoffs, perennially. You could see them, Hudson being a difference maker. Celebrini, I've said this to you guys before. I believe San Jose is going to be good.
That's the guy to me that I think has the best chance. Like, you're telling me when he's 23, that's when the prime hits for Hearts and for points, and that team turns around and they have an unbelievable season, and he hits 100-something points, and McDavid's 33 and doesn't care anymore. That's the one for me.
Yeah,
I'm going to confirm it because I got 15 tickets.
You got 3 chances.
Yeah, I got 3 players times 5. I got 15 different tickets. I'll confirm that one of these guys, who all 3 of them had a great rookie season, and they're all going to be the man where they play for the next 5 years. I'll confirm it. No tunnel vision over here.
That's tunnel vision thinking. You had a good year. You're guaranteed one of these other little nuggets over here. It's like there's a nugget trail in your mind, and you automatically pick them up.
Okay, well, how far could I expand this? How far could I expand this for you to jump on board? Let's say I add Bedard wins a Hart in the next 5 years. Would you take that? Would you add, if I added that to the list? If I threw the Leafs win a cup in the next 5 years,
but those
stop
aren't
me when it becomes something you'd say, yeah, I'm on board. I can confirm that.
You know what? I can't answer that question until I know what the roster looks like for next year because I have no idea what's going into it.
The Bedard one seems like it's light years away. I'm sorry. I feel bad because I just think I'm hoping, actually, he's on the Nathan McKinnon plan, where McKinnon his first couple of years, it was, feel the league out and then get to that next level. But Bedard just underwhelming, even though he's a 60-point guy, and as in your teens, it's still impressive, but not the generational that we thought he was going to be.
Possibly right. Maybe that's Addison Barger, right? Maybe Barger's the guy who's got to wear that crown, rocking it for the Blue Jays after they won again last night. Alejandro Kirk, 4 for 5 last night. Clutch hits
the mini hut. He's in the mini hut.
He's in the mini hut. He's in his own mini hut.
He's in a mini igloo. He's in an igloo.
That's right. That's right. And Bassett's on the mound tonight. And I saw the stat. Like, basically, when Gausman, Barrios, and Bassett play, they're like a 90-plus win team. When someone else pitches, not the best. And when Bowden Francis in particular pitches, they're basically Colorado. But, once they settle that, everything's all good. So more on the Jays later this afternoon. Danny Green at 6:30. Mike Johnson coming up. Best bets. We got a couple more confirm or denies we'll sprinkle in as well. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2.
Now, back to Overdrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
All right, Mike Johnson in about 15 minutes. Danny Green coming up as well. Those Giannis rumors lasted about 48 hours, and now it sounds like he's going to return to Milwaukee. So that was fun.
Yeah,
right?
it was good. It's fun while it lasted.
It's the
Gave the
Dragons'
Raptors fan base a jolt.
Yeah, just get people on board with Giannis wanting out and wanting to come here. Like, no, we love doing that, man. Man, we love doing that.
Yeah.
Toronto,
well, wait
right?
till next summer.
It's ridiculous, though. Like, it's just like, is anybody like? It's like the Dragons then guy. We're waiting for Giannis to get off, and now it's another. Like, what the hell's going on?
Exactly.
Are any of these people that are linked to Toronto ever going to come?
But, Jamie, it's almost like it starts with a guy at the local 7-Eleven that starts a rumor, and it literally filters mainstream. It's just like it blows up. And I pray it is disrespectful for the Oiler fans and everyone in Edmonton that does not happen with McDavid. I don't know when he's eligible. Is it this summer?
It's July 1st. It's coming. If they lose in the final, you know what that's coming. Joe from the Bridge will be tweeting out, going, "Here it comes."
No, Joe from the Bridge is going to tweet out. I talked to my cousin who knows his brother, and his brother puts his winter tires on McDavid's brother's car, and there's a chance.
And he told me, he told him, and then he's coming. So
yeah,
that'll be beyond anything, man. That'll be Ohtani plus Soto plus Giannis plus Kawhi.
Especially if he gives it to John Tavares.
0% that's happening. You know that, right? Zero.
You're.
I know.
But
if he goes, John Tavares and says this is just business, I'm going to wait. I'm sure I'll sign here, and he doesn't, then it'll just like he almost has to sign or just come out and say I'm not signing here. Because then it'll just be a circus.
You're talking about Edmonton. What are you saying, Noodles? 0% he leaves Edmonton.
0% he's coming to the Leafs as a free agent in a year. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
It's asinine to even think.
Why do you say that? Why is it 0%?
Because his best friend is in Edmonton and signed an extension. You don't think the two of them are going to sign together?
I figured that would happen. My guess would be signs an extension with Edmonton close to July 1st. It won't be July 1st. They'll let it play out.
Right.
That would be, but that has nothing to do with Toronto. That's more about him staying in Edmonton.
You're right. Like that's my point. It could be. You could say Vegas or
Yes.
But it's just it's the John Tavares thing coming home in the
Tavares did
PJs.
That. He did come home, but
pajama time
didn't work out. Didn't work out. I'm not getting there, but I will say this: I will happily, if a year from now we're in this position, it's going to get crazy. That doesn't mean he's leaving Edmonton or coming here, but if he hits free agency, there'll be nothing like it. Nothing. Like it if McDavid gets
Joel
there.
goes, if they lose, Oilers can't get it done. He needs a change. Do you think the Leafs getting it done?
That's the problem that the Leafs have.
Did Joe just text this in the group chat?
He just texted us in the group chat.
Block him.
Yeah,
block him.
Yeah, we might have to remove him from
But that's
the chat.
the problem. The Leafs can't sit there and say, come here, because we win all the time. That's the problem. Hour 3 coming up. Mike Johnson will join us and Danny Green. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2.
This is OverDrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog on TSN 1050.
Hazy, I got to tell you, if you were picking me up, let's say you text me during the show and you said, "Oh, dog, I'm going to pick you up at 8. We're going to go on a 3-day golf trip." And I agreed to it. I think I could pack comfortably starting at 7:50 p.m. That's how long it takes me to pack.
Sure.
You guys ever seen the ordeal that goes into your wife packing for something?
It's 3 days.
Dude.
5 days.
No, it's 5. It's like a Navy SEAL tactical operation. There's like Post-it notes that go up. There's a list that comes out, and I'm like, you're only going away for 3 days.
But there's different weather changes. There's evening wear.
I've never seen anything
wear,
like
there's
this.
Nighttime, it's
8 days in
nonsense.
advance, the bags get laid out.
Oh, yeah, the bag's coming out. Well, if you throw kids into the mix, that's a whole different story, obviously. But, we've all done the family trips, and it's like, you go down and get the big bag and the second bag and the third bag because we're 15 days out. We got to start chipping away here, and I'm like,
I can go if I'm going
do that,
if I'm going to a different climate, a sunny climate for 10 days, I could pack a duffel bag in 3 minutes and be out the door. 3 minutes.
I agree. So can I. I like to pack light. I'm very efficient. And the best invention for these suitcases? Those packing cubes.
Packing cubes are clutch, man.
You jam them in there and you shrink it down. You have the cubes. I don't need much. I go on vacation for a couple of weeks, and I've got my little outfit.
I know what you're wearing. Black on black on black.
No, I have
with a goalie hat.
No, you know what's upsetting is I have 2 outfits, and I just rotate them through. I have a travel shirt that is almost turned into dust.
You sit by the pool in the goalie golf shirt, the goalie hat, and black dress pants.
I love that. I love watching because Steph will post pics, and she's all, she's decked out, and the kids are in these coordinated outfits. And Noodles is in his goalie gear from 2009.
Yeah. She gets so mad at me because I have a gray shirt and a white shirt that are both made by that Jack Jones company. I really like them. They're so comfortable.
Yeah, good stuff.
But one of them has so many holes in it, it looks like gunshot wounds. And I wear it. I wear it on purpose now.
Jamie,
because
go buy another one. Go buy another
one.
I
can't find them anymore. Believe me, I'm a creature of habit. So
Dude,
if I like
eBay.
something, I buy
I'm
5 pairs of
free.
it.
Yep. Go on eBay, you'll find the exact same shirt.
I am the superhero. I will wear this thing. But I think it's hilarious. Now it's become my shtick. Okay, I will wear the white shirt, the gray shirt, the black shirt, and that's it on vacation. But so who cares? You're on vacation. You're not there to impress anybody. What do I care? Some couple from Poland sitting next to us at the table. I don't need to talk to you. You don't need to talk to me. I'll wear my shirt and my hat. That's
You're going to do your thing. It's all good, man. I agree with you. Don't judge a book by its cover. There's depth there behind that shirt.
Yeah.
But I hear you, man. I'm with you. I always found that funny. You'd go on bachelor parties, and there was always the one guy who brought a million things, and you're like, why are you checking a bag?
Right.
We're going to Nashville for 48 hours. This guy would have a leather jacket packed.
In case you went out at night.
Yeah, it's
ridiculous.
Dude, figure your life out, man. We are catching and releasing here. When we get off this bird, we are out of here. We're not waiting for you to find your
For a Nashville
bag.
trip, you could legit, because you could wear a bar outfit to the airport.
Yeah.
You need 2 extra pairs of underpants, 2 different bar tees, and you're good for the weekend.
Big celebration on that. Yeah, you're right. You're right. You can rock the same pair of jeans the whole time.
Yeah.
No need to change jeans. And, you can have their one pair. There's no dress code in a place like that. I get it if you're going if you go to Vegas, and maybe you're going for dinner or a club or something. There's different things, and you maybe swimwear and all that. If you're going to Nashville, man, no one cares if you're wearing running shoes or cowboy boots or whatever. But anyway, Johnny's coming up. I'll bet you Johnny's got to be an efficient.
No, he's
hacker,
so
man.
efficient. He's very
flies all around the world. Has to be on top of things.
I guarantee you, he never checks a bag. He's got his carry-on, and he probably has a knapsack with all his computers and chargers and everything involved there. But the carry-on is efficiently packed. He's got his suits, maybe a pair of shoes, underwear, all of that. But
Perfect.
Jamie, you guys that all travel together, you and Gord and Vic Lovin and MJ, like if you guys got to an airport and one guy said, "Oh, I got to wait for my check bags," with the other guy
see you at the hotel. Say good luck. Take a Uber.
Yeah, you're on your own.
Like, because there's unfortunate. Johnny can speak to it too. We do travel sometimes all with like the sound people and all that. They have to check a bag because they're bringing like gear.
That's for work.
But those people, when they land, they'll say, "We'll see you at the hotel," because there's a check bag people, and then there's people that just are walking right to the taxi or to Uber or car service. Like that's Johnny and I would fall into that where we pack efficiently and we go. The people who have to pack materials for us, it's unfortunate because now we'll hang around.
That's
like,
the gig, man. That's the way it goes.
Yeah.
Like trainers, you got to go back to the rink and lay out the gear.
Yeah.
Here's Mike Johnson, our TSN hockey analyst. What's happening, Johnny?
Efficiency is next to godliness, honestly. Like if we're going to check in and you don't got Nexus, I'll see you in the lounge. If you don't have lounge access, I'll see you at the gate. I got no time for any of that. And like you laugh, there is not one iota of me feeling bad. I'm like, all right, I'll see you when you get over there. Like I'm not gonna wait and go through the regular line. No chance, no how. And yes, never check a bag the whole year. Now, when I go to the World Championships, you're gone for weeks at a time. You check bags, obviously.
Different.
But no, I mean, I go for a week in a check bag. Yep. Never bring dress shoes because I know it's too awkward, too much to pack. So just wear sneakers all the time with my suits. Mm-hmm. And coordinate your outfit so that you can kind of layer up on the shoes especially. But always organized, always fast.
Has to. Yeah. That Nexus thing, man, that causes some fights at airports. Dude.
We had one guy in our crew. I won't say his name, but the stats guy. He lost his Nexus.
His name.
I'm not saying his name, but he lost Pearly. All right, Pearly. We lost his Nexus, and it's like he has to line up. Like we get there at 6 o'clock in the morning or whatever. He's way in that line over there. I feel bad for him. He's got to go early.
He's got to go to the airport early all the time in his own car. He's like, we're leaving at 6. I'm like, I'm leaving at 7. I'll see you there.
See you there, buddy.
That's a lifestyle choice, man. It is. But you hear like couples are going through divorces because of Nexus. One of them's got it, the other one doesn't, and they're like, I'm leaving.
Them. That is a fireable offense. 100%.
Totally.
Yes. Agreed.
Well, Johnny, what do you make? Where are we at with this Cup final? It wasn't very efficient, the effort that the Oilers put forth last night. But when you review that game and you think back on it, is it more about the Oilers' performance or more about the Panthers' performance because they were incredible last night?
I think it's probably both. And when it's both, Hayes, it's like that's what happens. Where the Panthers were really good, they were on top of it, they were aggressive, they made the plays. But the story from Game 3 was Edmonton getting roped into playing a game that Florida wins. That physical, that chippy, that we're going to prove to you how tough we are, we're going to retaliate, and they played right into Florida's hands. And I don't think the Oilers need to prove a damn thing. They're in the final. Of course they're tough. Of course they're physical. Of course they can push you around. But it feels like they're almost like a lot of teams getting in the bad habit of trying to show that they are as physical or as tough as the Panthers are. And when you get going down that road, Florida's just better at it than you, whether it's, roping you in and then skating away, drawing more penalties, whatever it is. And I'm not even talking about the stuff at the end of the game. The last 10 minutes, that was nothing. Game was gone. They can do whatever they want. I don't think that's them losing their composure because they weren't trying to keep their composure. But it's more about trying to play that physical game outside the context of whistle to whistle, that Florida wins that battle. And then, Hazy, the other part about it is that just like the Leafs, right? The Leafs looked really good against Florida through Game 1 and Game 2. O and I were in studio together. How many times, breaking out the puck cleanly, catching them on transition opportunities. Those moments, which are hard to come by against Florida, have been happening less and less and less with each subsequent game. In fact, game 3, the Oilers had 2 odd-man rushes the entire game. 2. And you're not going to beat Florida when you play that way. So this forecheck system that has given everyone around the NHL so much trouble is vexing the Oilers. And that's why it feels like more than just a loss. It's 2-1. If Edmonton wins on Thursday, it's 2-2. They got home ice 2 of the last 3 games. Mm-hmm. But given the trends of the series, it feels like it's getting more and more into Florida's wheelhouse of how they want to play and further away from what Edmonton wants to do.
Johnny, we always throw a little mini Jerry at you. So for how bad that performance was, it seems like Edmonton. So what is your mini Jerry of Edmonton completely flipping the switch and taking game 4?
Taking game 4. So playing well, I would have said, oh, yeah, it's like 75, 80%. They're going to play better. They're going to play harder. Winning the game, it feels it's 50-50. Like really, like straight up toss-up. Because I think Edmonton can play well, but the goaltender for Florida is playing a bit cleaner, a little bit, than the goaltender for Edmonton. I think the penalty killing for Edmonton is a trouble spot. Oh, and it has been all playoff long. But McDavid was quiet. Draisaitl was quiet. And when those two guys go quiet, then generally speaking, they get loud real quick shortly after. So I think it's that they win about a toss-up, that they play better, almost a guarantee.
Yeah, I would think they play better, but it doesn't mean that translates to success. That's the biggest challenge. There's no moral victories if you play better, but you end up losing and you're chasing the series. If you had to pinpoint one thing, Johnny, because it was an atrocious game from the Oilers. If there was one thing you could clean up, like just say, we need to do this Thursday, is there anything that pops out for you?
Go back and get pucks. Find a way to not get knocked off it by the forechecker and make a pass and get out of your own end.
Yeah.
And it seems obvious, almost redundant, because we talk about it all the time. But it is the greatest challenge in playing the Panthers. And their whole system is predicated on the idea that you can't do that 4 times in 7 games well enough to beat us. And they've been proven right, basically, for 3 straight years. So that's it. And I would even consider Noodles maybe a lineup change on the back end. Troy Stetcher, when he played, was really good. And amazingly enough, when he played with Darnell Nurse, they were really good together. And Darnell Nurse has had a tough series, flat out. Him and Kulak just were not good the first couple games. Last night he played with a whole bunch of different guys. It wasn't very good again. They need someone to help him go, and Stetcher has been that guy earlier in the playoffs. So I would think about doing that if you're Edmonton, but that's it. If they do that, have a really good chance of winning. It's just really hard to do, as all the teams that Tampa tried it, Toronto tried it, Carolina tried it. Really good puck-moving teams tried it and couldn't do it well enough, long enough to win. That's what Edmonton's going to have to try to do for Game 4.
Right.
Let's say the Cup was the best 2 out of 3 and Florida won last night. Who would have won the Conn Smythe?
Well, that's a good question. It's hard for
Brad Marchand.
Bennett.
I think it's probably Bennett on the strength of the goals, on the strength of the road goals for a team that was the lower seed every single series. It's probably Bennett. Even though in my heart and my brain, I know the best forward in the playoffs this year has been Connor McDavid. Like, flat out. McDavid's got 31 points. Bennett has 18 or 19 now.
Doesn't seem like that, Mike.
I know that. I know, but it's also not a finals award. It's a playoff award, right? So it's not just, although it kind of leans that way. And I'm with you. I don't think he'll win it, but probably Bennett. I think Bob giving up 8 goals in the first 2 games takes him out of the running. So probably Bennett. And what's amazing, not that we go down the gambling lines too much, before the series started, guys, even with Bennett's good run up into the final, he was plus 3,500 to win the Conn Smythe.
Wow!
And now he's the favorite. He's plus 175 in 3 games. So yeah, it probably knows is right. It probably would be Bennett, although I could make a very easy case that the best forward of the playoffs has been McDavid.
Yeah, I think that probably has been the case. Him and Draisaitl have likely been the 2 best players consistently throughout it. Yet I don't picture a scenario where the writers give it to him again in a loss. And last year felt more dominant, and the stats would indicate that as well. Yet there's still a lot of games left to be played. But I think the pecking order would be Bennett, Marchand. Like, I think those are the two guys. I think Brad Marchand has played himself into the Conn Smythe chatter, and he should. All
day long.
He's been unbelievable the whole playoffs. And the Leafs series in particular, you're right, it's about the whole run. He was unreal in that Leafs series. He was really good in the last one. And look at the numbers he's putting up, man. The guy scores every single game. And in Game 2, that's a marquee, like, career-defining game for him, man. Like, for him to score both those goals, including the OT winner in double overtime, it's incredible what he's done.
Yeah, I mean, I think we all expect him to be good. I don't think anyone, maybe not even Brad Marchand, expected to be this good. And he plays on what they call the third line, I guess, here in Florida. But against Toronto, they were the best line. They were the primary reason that Florida won their toughest series to date was Marchand and his line. And scored in every game in the finals so far, scores the overtime winner. He scores the game opener at home the next game. Yeah, he's done an amazing job. And it's hard not to think about where he ranks in sort of greatest all-time deadline acquisitions. And you kind of like the last 30, 40 years, Marion Gaborik comes to mind. I think he led the playoffs in goals when he got traded to LA one year. I think Marian Hossa went to Pittsburgh one year and had a really big offensive push. But he's right up there with the greatest sort of deadline guys. Mikko Rantanen, I guess, would be a deadline guy too. But he's right there with them, except he's 37. He's not in the prime of his career like those other guys were. He's sort of at the tail end of it, you'd think. But the other part about it is he's playing himself into a lot of suitors this summer and a lot of term, which I imagine he would want given his age. He's going to get 3 years, maybe even more, given how well he's played in this run, if he wants them around the league.
So, Johnny, we had a confirm or deny, and we'll let you jump into this, that 2 of the 3 will, what was it, Hayes, that still be a Panther?
Will leave
Florida. The Panthers, and that's Ekblad, Bennett, and Marchand.
I'm going to deny.
Yeah.
I'm going to deny because I think one will get paid around what I think Bennett will get paid appropriately, maybe just under Reinhart. And with, the state tax, I want to go down that road. But his take-home pay is going to be pretty darn good. It's going to be $5 million. So that's like a $10 million contract in Toronto. So he's going to get paid, appropriately, and so he'll stay. I think Ekblad has been either one of Ekblad or Marchand will take a significant discount because of the team, the state, the situation, and all of it. And one of those two guys will stay. I think Ekblad's going to have to take a massive discount, but he's been pretty clear that he might. And Marchand has been such a perfect fit. Would he take 3 years, and instead of chasing $8 million around the league, would he take 3 years at 5.5 or 6 here? Net, it's not that big of a difference, and it's a perfect fit, and it's Florida where it's a good place to live as you get a bit older. I think 2 of the 3 figure out. Bennett stays, and then one of the other 2 will stay, and one of the other 2 will go.
With Mike Johnson, and Gary Bettman was with TNT last night and getting kind of pressed on the state tax stuff, and he scoffed at it and, used all the lines that everyone uses. Yet you're traveling with, the Cup final. You're in the state of Florida. You're around the team. Do you get the impression the Panthers are they defensive of this narrative? Do they fight back against it? Do they agree that, hey, it's a benefit and we're using it? What's the general consensus around them with all this noise about the state tax and the advantage that they have?
I think they acknowledge that it is one of several factors in putting together a team that may impact their success, and they will acknowledge that for them it's an advantage. Obviously, they're not dumb about it. If you can you can pitch guys on a take-home pay that will save you money on the cap and then allow you to get more good players, that helps. But as Gary Bettman correctly points out, I played for Tampa. Well, there was no state tax back then. We were atrocious.
They stunk.
Florida for 15 years were awful with 4,000 people in the building. No state tax. Didn't seem to matter then. So it's a story now because it's good teams. And I think, Hayes, maybe what maybe the most important point might be is now that they're better, it becomes more of a factor because they're going to be capped out, but also players will want to start coming to these teams and then maybe paying more attention. I don't worry about getting paid $6 million in Toronto. I can get paid $4.5 million in Florida, and it's the same amount of money in my pocket. And you're more comfortable looking at it in those terms. So as they get better, it becomes more of a story and more impactful. But they're not defensive. They appreciate that it's an advantage. But don't suggest that that's the only reason why they're good or that's the only reason why the contracts are what they are. People want to play here because it's a good place to live and it's a good organization that's very successful right now.
Well, and you're right, because it actually makes sense because it happens to be a bonus. Like hey, the state tax is a bonus, but Gary's right. 17 years, both those organizations weren't very good. And you could look at Nashville right now; their state tax is low. You look at some of these other organizations, Seattle. Like there's places. Alberta has good tax situations, but you build the team and the program. But it is part of the formula that goes with this. It's just not. It's not 90% of the formula, but if it's 5% of the formula, it's still exactly, Brian. It is.
Yeah. Like I get why Bettman. Okay. Go ahead.
But hey, so it's worth something, no doubt. No one would argue otherwise. But okay, so you were in Toronto. What's the value add to Toronto? One, if you're a great player, there's more marketing opportunities. You can make a lot of more money there.
Right. For sure.
Two, if you care about being famous, you're a lot more famous in Toronto than you are in Florida. Three, if you're not Canadian, guess what the currency of your life expenses are in? Canadian dollars, when you get paid in American dollars. So if you're on par, your $10,000 a month rent in Florida can get you a $14,000 a month place in Toronto, right? There's a currency valuation. That also all favors Toronto. So maybe not quite as much, but there are different things in different places depending on where you are in your life and what's most important to you. Every market has their little pluses, and it's just how you manage those pluses as an organization to put your team together. So I think that's true. I don't think it's the only thing, and it's become a bit more of a story than it probably actually is, because it's easy to latch onto now that Florida's so good.
Right. And it's right in front of your face, and Tampa was prior to that. And, they've built great programs. I guess the pushback or what's on the line here is the ability to build, depth the way that they are, where I feel like a lot of the things you just mentioned for Toronto, using them as an example, count for the guy who goes, I'll come up there for $1 million because I've always dreamt about being a Leaf. And that's all I want, and it's the greatest thing in the world. Where with Florida, it works for the guy who's like, I won't take 10, I'll take 8. It's the top guy. Where, that's where it's such a benefit. I'm not trying to take anything away from them. Bill Zito's he's the best GM in the league right now.
Reinhardt's a great example.
The guy scores 56 goals and wins the Stanley Cup and goes, just give me 8-6. And the reason is because of the state tax. He wants to stay, but they're like, well, you're going to make $5 million. Where if he was still in Buffalo, and it was, they had the same team there and he won, he'd be saying, I need $11 million.
Well, but also, and Buffalo has different weather. You have different.
No, I understand that, but what I'm talking about is like when what that means is literally building the team. Where we keep looking at it from a player's perspective, the real conversation is about the GM's perspective. It should be the GM's yelling and screaming. Because
of course, if we just dumb it down, Hayes, and we're going to do this on July 1st, but if you think about it, on Mitch Marner's contract, the difference between what Toronto would have to pay him to match what Florida, in this example, would have to pay him, for him to take home the same amount of money as what Toronto's deal would give him, is about $3.5 million. So $13.5 in Toronto would be $10 in Florida. And Florida would say, listen, you're not taking a pay cut. You're getting the exact same amount of money to take 10. And if you do that 3 times, guess what you get? Another Mitch Marner.
Exactly.
That's $10 million you save. You get another Mitch Marner. You can do that for 3 players. That is the argument that says, well, hang on, if you're building a team, important players, and you can shave $1 million, $2 million, $3 million off their cap hits, you add that up, and all of a sudden the $2 million third-line player is a $4 million, $5 million third-line player, and then you're a better team. Sure, 100%. But I will just say this in defense of Toronto. Now, it didn't work, but one of the things they pitched Steve Stamkos in the prime of his career, going for a monster contract, was the marketing opportunities. Now, it completely backfired, but then they have like the president of Canadian Tire and like companies like that saying, hey, you'll make millions of dollars a year working with us if you were to play here. Now, he didn't want that at all, but that would have been a guy who could have maybe, we'll take a little bit less, but you make a little bit more in a similar kind of fashion, not just older guy, but probably the career guy. Well, it was pitched to Stammer.
Right.
It was. And throwing one more thing on it, it doesn't matter. Pick your poison for the organization. Build a winner. People will go, I need a piece of that. Like ask the guys who signed the value contract. Adam Henrique stays in Edmonton because he wants to try and win. That type of stuff. If you have players that you want to play with or a program you want to play with, it becomes the gold standard, and people want a piece of that. So if Toronto continues to build that, and hey, we believe we're close, we want that, you are going to see guys that will take a little less to try and be a part of that program.
At the bottom of it. That's another thing that bothers Leaf fans is that their players never did it. That's just a reality. It's a totally different player. It's totally different, but it gets conflated.
Individuals.
Totally.
And when it's conflated, it's a great word for you. And one other thought about this, Hayes, and we're not there yet, but with the cap going up and up and up, there may be teams in no state taxes that fiscally can't run a profit going all the way to the cap.
Right.
And Toronto can, and Montreal can, and the Rangers can, and Chicago can, and a lot of the traditional biggest markets are in higher tax brackets, and maybe then there'll be a balancing act. Like, yeah, you have no state tax, but you don't have the revenue that we have to get all the way to 125. Your internal cap might be 110. And then maybe there's a little bit of equaling out there as well.
That's a good point. Where if you're winning, then, hey, we can keep doing it because we're making money and ticket sales and all that. Falls off, you turn back into Florida and Tampa and all that kind of stuff. It's all cyclical. All right, Johnny, we'll catch up later in the week. Enjoy Game 4 Thursday night.
All right, fellas. U.S. Open week. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm waking up early. I love this. It's going to be it. Have you seen the clips of these guys putting from like 120 yards out in the fairway?
Amazing, man. Zach Clare put it to 3 feet.
Yeah, that putt was wild. But the fact that you could even do that without a driver-like swing is, I'm like, that's what the fairways are running at. What are the greens at?
No kidding, man. No kidding. Like Texas wedge all over that place.
All day long.
I'd be doing it everywhere, man. Everywhere I'd have my putter out. All right, Johnny. Enjoy the Open as well. We'll do it again soon.
All right, boys. Have a good week.
Mike Johnson. Yeah, we'll get to our U.S. Open picks tomorrow, courtesy of TaylorMade. Man, the course looks so dialed in. Like Oakmont looks amazing. It's
and I had
tough.
no idea that Gil Hanse guy did a reno on that course.
They took a lot of trees out of there, like a lot of trees.
They took the trees out a long time ago. But do you know what the membership said to this Gil Hanse, who's like a renowned kind of course redesign dude?
Mm-hmm.
They said, when you're done, it better not be easier. And he was like, oh, my God.
I love those marching orders.
Dude, that's what they said to him. Don't even think of finishing, and it's easier.
Yeah, they take pride in just carnage out there. All right, Danny Green coming up. Best bets later in the hour. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and up on YouTube Live.
Now, back to Overdrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
I told you long ago on the road, I got what they waiting for.
All right, Overdrive continues, powered by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. Our best bets later in the hour on the Jays tonight, who are on fire, continued to be on fire last night in St. Louis, and Jays cards tonight. And we got Bassett on the mound, so we'll get to our best bets a little bit later on. I think Alejandro Kirk will be a guy that I'm leaning on tonight, and maybe this heater just continues for him. And Vladdy not in the lineup, though. I have not seen exactly why he's not playing, but we've been on the air, and I saw the lineup card come out, and it doesn't look like Vladdy Guerrero Jr. is going to play this evening, but we'll try to get an update on that a little bit later in the hour. But Danny Green coming up here in a moment, and we'll ask him I referenced the 2019 Raptors last week with this current Pacers team where, in the East and plodding their way through the East and not a lot of focus on them at times. And then they got to the finals and everyone was waiting for them to finally run out of magic pixie dust, and it just never happened. And I'm curious if he sees his Raptors in this Pacers team at all. And, a lot of days off in the finals. Always. Same thing with the Stanley Cup playoffs. But in the NBA, it's 2 days between every single game.
There's no need for it. I don't care what TV execs say. The Edmonton Oilers flew down to Florida. It should be tomorrow night that they play.
Yeah. Well, it's because the NBA Finals is tomorrow. That's what I'm saying. I get they're traveling, but Oklahoma City to Indianapolis what is that, an hour and a half?
Yeah,
Play.
It's not far.
Play tonight. Just get going. I want to see.
Yeah, what is that? An hour flight? Barely.
It's nothing. And like Danny did it 3 times. He's been to the finals a ton. I'm curious what players think. Don't you just want to tip off and play? You made it to the finals. It's a dream come true. I wouldn't want multiple days off between every game, but that's what we have. Game 3 of the NBA Finals tomorrow night. And here he is, former Raptor. 3-time NBA champ. You see him on ESPN. He's been on the show before. Great to see him again. There's Danny Green. How you doing, Danny?
Good. How you guys doing? Appreciate you having me.
Yeah, thanks for doing this, man. Take us through the mentality of a player, multiple days off between games in the NBA Finals. Did you like it, or were you chomping at the bit?
I heard you talking about it. I think it depends on the situation, right? You're a healthy player. You want to just play every other night, But if you have some injuries, bumps and bruises, the extra days help. Especially, I think the team that's more antsy is the team that lost more than anybody. But, when you're a young kid, you want to just get out and play. But for older guys that have been around for a long time and have some bumps and bruises, I think they know trying to hydrate and trying to recover and have to play a lot of minutes. I think those days help for sure, especially when traveling, too, and going from one city to another.
So how big are the distractions for a player in the finals? You get a lot of family members, friends, all that type of stuff reaching out for tickets. Is it after you get through it? Is it frustrating? Is it big distractions, or do you have team services people handle it for you?
There can be if you allow it. Thankfully, I had organizations that help filter it, to take care of the families, especially in San Antonio and Toronto. And LA, we're in the bubble, so it was filtered regardless. But yes, they did a good job of handling the families, saying that we'll accommodate your families. We'll get a hotel for them. We'll have a plane, fly them out, and make sure they're situated, which made things easier. But if you don't have that type of scenario situation, it can very much add up and be a distraction. But Pop is if you have family, if they're sick, keep the kids in a different house, guest house, wherever. Don't let them stay with you. They very much wanted no distractions. But it helps you to simplify it, because in the finals, there's very select few people that you feel are worthy enough to bring to that type of scenario. During a regular season, a hometown, that's where it can be a lot. But for the most part, in the playoffs, you have your certain people come through. But in the finals, it's the closest family members and the closest friends. So,
Danny, it's been punch, counter punch. Do you see that continuing, or do you see one of these teams? I've had some bad string of predictions here in the last 2 weeks, but I thought OKC.
We all have, man.
Yeah, I thought OKC would put the pedal down. Do you see one team kind of taking control here, or just keep going back and forth?
I think OKC. I think this is the first time we see Indiana lose 2 in a row. I do think they might split this Indiana stand though. I had OKC in 6. I still have them in 6. I think they win this third game, and then the fourth game, I think, is kind of up in there, and I think Indiana probably gets that one. Then OKC wins the next 2. But yeah, I'm interested to see because OKC doesn't look like the same team that they normally do on the road. At home, they're very comfortable. They're usually up 20 plus, 15 plus. On the road, it's been close. Even when they were in Memphis, it was close for them. Minnesota was a little different, but Denver was very up and down as well. Won 7 games. So yes, they are young. They lack some experience and some maturity. But as they go in with each game, they're growing and getting more mature. But because of the lack of experience and lack of maturity, this will go longer games than it should. Because honestly, I think they're just a better team. But as good as they are, they have some vulnerability and some lapses. So, but I do think they get game 3.
With Danny Green, NBA champ, former Raptor, and Shai, is obviously a huge story up here. Being Canadian, he's from Hamilton, right down the road, and he's got a chance to do something that very few players have ever done. Win the MVP of the regular season, probably
and
finals
MVP.
Yeah, and then championship as well. You kind of get the 3 big ones in 1 year, man. That doesn't happen often. What do you see out of his game? Like at this platform, it's only 2 games. He's shooting a lot. Like game 1, he shot a lot. He didn't shoot very efficiently, but he's shooting a lot. And he seems comfortable from my standpoint. But what do you see out of Shai that would suggest, the brightest lights of his career have not affected him?
He's just so mature, man. He's beyond his years, and he's been like that for the last 2 years or so. Just a very good, talented player. And shooting, that's what he does. He is what a lot of things go through him. He's making the decisions, shots, passes, playmaking. He did a lot of that in game 2, regardless if he shot a lot or not. He still scored a good amount in game 1 too, but that's their identity. And he's a very good player, very good star. Consistent, just mentally strong, tough. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of great things from him, especially his first time being in the finals. He's being a leader. I expected to see more from the other guys. Chet, especially in game 1, he did better in game 2. But Jalen Williams also hasn't shot it efficient or hasn't had one of those games yet. Game 2 was good for them, but they're just so good. They're a team that doesn't have to make adjustments. They did make adjustments, and they were still up 20. And those adjustments I don't think helped them much because they did get out-rebounded in game 1. But they could win with whatever lineup they want to have out there and with their guys not playing their best basketball. They were beating them 3.5 quarters in game 1 until the last 6 minutes or so, last 4 or 5 minutes. So, yes, they're clearly the better team. They just said they need those other guys to step up. Shai has been an unbelievable leader for them, this postseason.
With Danny Green and, on the other side of it, obviously Tyrese Halliburton's been outstanding throughout this run. But so is Pascal, Pascal Siakam.
Yeah.
And that's a guy that he won a title with in 19, and he was young. And, but he put up big numbers. And in the finals, he really continued to elevate. Remember game 1, he was unbelievable in that game against the Warriors.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm curious, what you see out of Pascal today, 6 years later in the NBA Finals that maybe you didn't see in 19 or you thought was coming. Like you keep using the term, mature.
Oh, yeah, we saw it coming for sure. We saw it coming. He had a great run with us, and people have been doubting him ever since because he's been looked at. He's so good. He's been looked at as supposed to be the number 1, the head of the snake. And I think he is. I think it's a 2-headed snake over there. It's him and Tyrese, but I think he's the most stable guy that they've had throughout the season and playoffs. Tyrese is very good, and he is the moment, and he lives in it, and he's made some big shots. But Pascal, I think, has been their backbone, and he's been the guy that they can rely on night in, night out to give them what they need offensively and even defensively. He's versatile, but they have a great roster. They have some good depth, but I think it starts with him. When he comes out aggressive, they're just a different team, and obviously they need Tyrese to be aggressive too. But he's been the guy, and the reason why he won Eastern Conference Finals MVP. Because he's been so consistent and he's been the backbone of that group.
With Danny Green. So can you settle this for us? Because up here in Toronto, we've been living off this since 19 when, Kawhi left to the Clippers and then you left to the Lakers. And we look back on what Van Vliet has become and Anunoby's in New York and Siakam's still doing it. If you returned and Kawhi returned, let's say you guys stuck around for another 3-year window, do you think you would have won another championship with the Raptors?
that would have mean that our Toronto team would have probably faced the Lakers in the finals, minus myself. That would have been a tough matchup. I think in that 3-year span, we'd have got one more. I think we would have got one more. Because the next finals or the next winners was Denver and Milwaukee, right? I think we were good enough to beat Milwaukee. Well, Phoenix would have came out of the West. We would have beat, I think, the following year it was Phoenix. And then Denver came out of – it was Denver and Miami. I think we could have definitely made it to the finals probably twice and got one of them. So, yeah, if – that's a big if. You know, a lot of things had to change for that to happen. But, yeah, we had a good group, man. You forget Norm. Norm was on on that group. Fred, Kalo, like OG didn't even play for us. He was hurt. Now, we'd had OG healthy. That gives us more depth. Like, we would have been a really good team. You know, Serge, Marcus Hall. So we had a really good group. Yeah, it was an unbelievable run. Yeah. And, you know, I've kind of used that comparison with the way the Pacers have been kind of rolling through the East and, you know, different styles and different structure. But you guys, you know, I believe you were the 2 seed that year. And, you know, I remember you lost against Orlando in Game 1. And then you kind of smacked them around in the first round. And then that unbelievable series against Philly. And then, obviously, you do what you do against Milwaukee. But once it got to the finals – like the rest of the NBA was like, well, now you got the Warriors. Like now you can't beat these guys, you know. Do you see that with Indiana where we keep doubting them and it's like, you know, why do we keep doubting them? Like why can't they win the NBA championship? For sure. I will say we did have a little help on our side from the basketball guys. Not that we would have wanted it any other way. Like obviously we wanted it differently. We wanted everybody to be healthy. We played a Golden State team that didn't have Kevin Durant, you know, and then Clay ended up getting hurt in Game 6, but that was kind of over. So yeah, it's tough to get there and it's tough to stay healthy and get there. Would it be different if we played a full healthy Golden State team? Who knows? Possibly. They're a very good team. Some people consider them a cheat team, but anything can happen once you get there. And that's why I say, and that's why a lot of people are telling a lot of stars, stay in the East, stay in the East. You have a better opportunity, or even coaches, you have a better opportunity getting out and getting to the finals in the East. And once you get there, you just never know what's going to happen. You know, anybody can get hot. Teams may not be fully healthy. So, yes. Back to your point. I'm sorry. The question was just about the Pacers and the Raptors and the comparison about kind of sneaking up on teams. I think they have people are counting them out, but there's always a possibility. I think there's always a chance. Like I said, them stealing Game 1, nobody predicted that. Right. Now they have home court advantage. They go back to Indiana now, and they can even if they split, that still gives them a chance. If they could just wear it down, but they have more, I think they have more veteranship. They have more experience than OKC does. They have older group of guys and a couple guys that Pascal's been there, and they have some other guys that were at Eastern Conference Finals last year. You know, this is the first time OKC's made it past the second round, if I'm not mistaken, in a while. You know, since Kevin Durant, Russ, and James Harden days. So yeah, this is new territory for that young group.
So, Danny, you've been around the game a long time. What was your reaction to the Doncic trades? From the outside, you know, it was crazy. I mean, from the inside, you talked to a lot of players. You know, what was your reaction to that? My reaction was the same as you guys. I don't think it was any different. I found out the same way you guys did. It shocked the hell out of me. I thought Shams was hacked. I definitely was about to call him a couple times. I didn't believe it. Even when I saw him, like, nah, this can't be real. I have to hear it from Shams' his mouth. I have to see him on TV and say, yeah, this is me. This is real. Because I didn't believe it. And, yeah, I mean, it just goes to show you anything can happen in this game in today's world. But as everybody else suspected, and as I suspect, is that it came from above, you know, from up top. And a lot of things changed when Cuban left. And so – And you know, good for Lakers. I thought this was a play for both teams that got what they wanted. You know, Dallas wanted to win now. AD can play the 4 now with great bigs behind him. You know, conveniently lucky, gets the number 1 pick in the draft. No kidding. You know, Luka goes to LA where, you know, they get another LeBron type situation. They have him for longer years, longevity, and they could build around him. So I thought it was a great play for both organizations of what they wanted. One wanted long-term longevity of having a team that could always be in the playoffs and be a contender if you surround them with the right people. Well, listen, Danny, it's been great catching up with you, man. We had you in studio when you first got to Toronto. That's a long time ago now, man. But 6 years. We appreciate you doing this. Appreciate you guys, man. Thank you. Good. Enjoy the playoffs, man, and good luck. I hope to see you guys soon.
Hopefully your prediction will go better, old dog.
Yeah, there you go. He will. He'll get him next. He'll get the next one, man. He's due, believe me. Thanks, Danny. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Danny.
Appreciate you guys. Take it easy.
There he is, Danny Green, NBA champ, former Raptor. He's
I was
got an
always
alumni
curious
jacket.
about that. I was always curious about that guy because he was doing
podcasts.
He was doing he was doing different things when he was playing. I never thought it would be like a tough adjustment for him and he retired. I know he was like traveling around. I don't know if he was like traveling around the world with a camera crew. He was always doing like different stuff. That
he was one of the original kind of podcast taping content guys. Like he was one of the first guys.
Yeah.
And great career, man. Great career.
And picked off 3 championships, I think.
And with multiple teams, like he was with the Lakers in the bubble, the Raptors,
Spurs.
and San Antonio. Like just a great career. And we appreciate him joining us. That was awesome. All right, best bets coming up. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2. Best Bets powered by FanDuel. Make your picks and assemble a same-game parlay in seconds on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Vladdy not playing tonight, rest day. Jays Cardinals. I'm on the under tonight. Bats have been alive on both sides, but I even last night, until it goes to extra innings, I think both teams are going to settle in. I think it'll be a good ball game, but total's 8. I'm going to go under. Barger to record a hit. Alejandro Kirk to record a hit. That paying plus 250. Best Bets powered by FanDuel. All right, the Hut was established today, right? Playoff performers.
I'm all in on the Hut, man. I could do it twice a week.
I think the Hut I think it shows up a couple times a week. You don't want to overplay it. Right?
Yeah.
Maybe once a week, max.
Maybe it's twice I don't know. We'll see.
Depending on how, if there's a topic, then you go, hey, let's go to the Hut type of thing.
We got to be creative with the Hut, though,
exactly.
Right? The Hut, you can't take advantage of the Hut.
Yeah.
So tomorrow we got U.S. Open picks. We're going to have Game 3 of the NBA Finals tomorrow. Game 4 of the Stanley Cup playoffs or Stanley Cup final on Thursday. And, of course, the Jays coming off a win. Well, possibly a win tonight. Game tonight. But it'll be a good one tomorrow. We're looking forward to it. Yeah. And, like, the U.S. Open, the build-up, it's amazing. Like, it's so much fun just to watch all of – it's like Augusta in many ways. Like, not quite to the same extent as the Masters, but like Scheffler being there, the big boys being there, the size of the field, how crazy the course is, what the crowds are going to be like. The U.S. Open crowds are crazy all the time, and it's going to be a really fun week. And it's been a fun show. Thanks to Danny Green, Kevin Lowe, Confirm and Deny, the Hut, MJ, everything
Noodles
in between.
won the Hut,
Neil Hudson, or Lane Hudson.
I won the Hut?
Yeah. Noodles
Really?
won the Hut. The poll's up. It's 7 o'clock. And
what's the score? I didn't even look it up.
41%. Compared to 29 and 29 for Noodles.
Oh, the other two are tied. We got
Right
neck and neck race. There's some tunnel vision for you. And shout out to
that's
Lane
a new
Hudson.
term that's going to enter the show. Tunnel vision thinking, something you do often.
I do a lot. I own that. I love it. All right. Thanks to everyone behind the scenes for helping out. We appreciate it. Everyone for tuning in today. TV, radio, podcast, web, and up on YouTube Live on TSN's YouTube channel. We're out of here. Enjoy your evenings. Enjoy the games tonight. We're back tomorrow at...
Tomorrow in the Hut is going to be Screen Award winners that didn't deserve it. 4 p.m.
We'll chat then.